Chapter 2556. Thank you, Brother Yi. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Han Qianfan immediately bowed to him. He was very grateful for this. Since we know each other, we are friends. Brother Han, you don't need to be so polite. Night Sorrow smiled. He could see that Han Qianfan's talent was not enough, but he felt that in the God realm, as long as he persevered, one day Han Qianfan would become an official disciple of Tianyun School. There is something that this elder wants to explain. Seeing that Han Qianfan wanted to enter the Tianyun clan in such a way, Sikong Hanshin immediately said, Outer clan disciples have a very low status in the clan, but they are protected by the rules of the clan, and will not be attacked for no reason. However, the status of the companions brought in is even lower. Inner or core disciples can kill them at will if they are not pleasing to the eye. What? There are such cruel rules in the Tianyun clan? As soon as Sikong Hanshin finished speaking, Han Qianfan shuddered. The other cultivators who had the same idea as him, and wanted to sneak into the Tianyun clan, to cultivate immediately stopped in their tracks. This is the rule of Cloud Fairy Continent. Only the strong can live better. If everyone in the sect was treated the same, how could disciples have the motivation to improve? Only with the threat of death will everyone burst out with their full potential. Sikong Han Xian smiled and said, In fact, the competition in Tianyun School is relatively small. Disciples of Soaring Heaven sect and other sects can kill each other at will. Disciples can kill each other at will? That's too inhumane. I don't like such a sect. Knowing that the competition in some sects was so cruel, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th on the God Feather list, couldn't help but frown. Si Kongxiang also shook his head and said, That kind of sect can't be considered a sect at all. Soaring Heaven sect? Hearing Sikong Han Xian mention Night Sorrow of Soaring Heaven sect, he immediately thought of Qin Yangzi, who had attacked in anger after failing to win him over. At that time, Qin Yangzi had summoned an extraterrestrial demon. Now that he heard that Soaring Heaven sect regarded the lives of God Realm cultivators as worthless, he immediately suspected that Soaring Heaven sect was being controlled by heavenly demons. However, the impact of these matters was too great, so he couldn't speak casually. Tianyun School was very large. From the mountain gate where the sky cloud ladder was located to the mountain peak where they reported, there was a long distance. Sikong Hanshin took out the Tianyun School's unique flying magic tool, the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, and brought the 5 cultivators who passed the test to report. As for their family members and servants, they were all put into a spatial magic tool. Oh right. Which one of you is good at setting up formations, concocting pills, or refining tools? If you are good at these, your days in the sect will be much better. Otherwise, if you want to obtain resources, you can only rely on your strength. Sikong Hanshin asked as they flew. In truth, cultivators would more or less dabble in these matters, but mastering them or not was a different matter. Hearing Sikong Hanshin's words, Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the others all shook their heads. Only Night Sorrow said, I know a little. Good, very good. Sikong Hanshin clearly knew that if someone said they knew a little under these circumstances, they would definitely be very accomplished in a certain area. He immediately transmitted his voice to Si Kongxiang. Nephew, you should visit more often in the future. Third uncle. Why are you so snobbish? Even if you didn't say those words, everyone here today is my friend. Si Kongxiang retorted in disgust. You little brat. Sikong Hanshin didn't get angry at being talked back to. At this moment, Night Sorrow asked, Elder Sikong, how can I learn Pil Dao in Tianyun School? Apart from avoiding the Dark Moon ruler's people, Night Sorrow's most important goal in joining Tianyun School was to help God Sovereign Jin Yuan find the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations Pill. There are many alliances within the sect. If you want to learn Pil Dao, you can just join one when the time comes. If your potential is outstanding, you will be discovered by some elders. Sikong Hanshin used Night Sorrow's question to explain Tianyun School's situation to the others. When they arrived at Tianyun School's main peak, Tianyun Peak, Fu Hongxue had already arrived at the main peak's plaza with Yan Zheng, Luan and Duguxian. There were many onlookers at the main peak's plaza today. News had already spread that 3 new disciples in the top 20 of the Feather God list would join today, attracting the attention of many alliances. Many alliances had sent out their top beauties to recruit them as soon as possible. The top 10 beauties of the Feather God list and the High God list were all present. One of them is actually a female cultivator, and she looks pretty good. Soon many cultivators noticed Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th on the Feather God list. She had just appeared, and many high gods were already thinking about her. Some people even began to inform the Divine Lord Seed disciples. After all, Mei Ruoxue was pretty and ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. Her future achievements wouldn't be low, and she met the standards of a few geniuses. Silence. The 8 of you who passed the test will follow me to the discipline hall to verify your identities. Not long after, the Tianyun School's discipline elder Lu Qingyuan brought the 8 of them to the discipline hall to verify their identities in front of many discipline elders. He used the method of turning back time and deducing the past to check their backgrounds and cultivation paths. There were no problems when deducing the others. However, when discipline elder Lu Qingyuan, who was half a step away from the Divine King, tried to deduce Night Sorrow's past, he would be interrupted by a golden dragon. This made him very depressed. He stared at Night Sorrow again and again, but he still couldn't figure out what was going on. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. "Kid, what secrets do you have? I can't deduce your past. If you can't explain, I'll kill you on the spot." "Elder, it was the Dragon of Merit that interrupted your deduction. I have the power of merit." Discipline elder Lu Qingyuan's voice sounded in his mind. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't hide this matter, so he immediately replied, "How's your cultivation of the force of good fortune?" On the surface, Lu Qingyuan looked like he was deducing, but in fact, he continued to transmit his voice to Night Sorrow. Recently, there had been some problems with Night Sorrow's power of merit. He couldn't control it at will, so others naturally couldn't see through it. "My power of merit is at the peak of the Divine Feather Realm." Night Sorrow had no choice but to answer truthfully. "Peak of the Divine Feather Realm?" Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan's expression didn't change, but his heart skipped a beat. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow excitedly. "If I'm not wrong, you hid most of your strength when you climbed the sky cloud ladder, right? Your name is not Night Moon, but Night Sorrow, right?" Night Sorrow did deliberately hide this matter. However, Night Sorrow definitely doesn't have any ill intentions in joining the Tianyun School. "Please forgive me, Elder." The key to joining the Tianyun School was discipline elder Lu Qingyuan in front of him. Night Sorrow hurriedly explained to him, afraid that there would be some misunderstanding. "It really is you. Since you want to hide your identity, then hide it for now. Go with them and accept the arrangements. I'll look for you later." Chapter 2557. After Yi Shang and the others were taken away after swearing the Heavenly Tao Oath to enter the clan, disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan immediately rushed to the mountain peak where Yuan Tianji, the deputy clan leader of the Tianyun clan, was. When he saw Yuan Tianji, he excitedly said, "Vice Sect Master. Good news, good news." "Oh, what could make Elder Lu so excited?" Yuan Tianji asked, puzzled. Lu Qingyuan's joy was obvious. Lu Qingyuan was the disciplinary elder and normally enforced the law like a mountain. If it wasn't something important, he definitely wouldn't be like this. "Our Tianyun school has picked up a big fish today. Haha. Truly, the heavens have blessed my sect. The heavens have blessed my sect." Lu Qingyuan laughed loudly. "I've already received news of this matter. We've recruited 3 people ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. Our Tianyun School's Feather God Level 1 has indeed seen a qualitative increase in strength." Yuan Tianji's expression was still calm. He was one of the 2 vice sect masters of Tianyun School, and was normally very cold. "If it was just them, would I, Lu Qingyuan, be like this?" Lu Qingyuan explained, "They're just small fish. I'm talking about the big fish." "Elder Lu, don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me what's going on," Yuan Tianji said unhappily. He felt that Lu Qingyuan was a bit improper today. Night Sorrow, who recently caused a sensation in the Divine Realm, has joined our Tianyun School along with Si Kongxiang and the others. Lu Qingyuan asked in return. "Don't you think I should be happy?" Night Sorrow, the one who rose to prominence overnight, and entered both the Feather God list and the Upper God list at the same time. The Night Sorrow? The originally expressionless Yuan Tianji immediately became spirited. That's him, but he used a fake name called Night Moon. Also, when he climbed the sky cloud ladder, he deliberately hid his strength. I still don't know how strong he is, Lu Qingyuan explained. I plan to find a time to bring him up the stairway to heaven again to see how far he has progressed. No matter what, we all have to take it seriously. No one else could know about this. I suspect that there are spies in Tianyin school. Yuan Tianji's expression became serious. After thinking for a while, he continued. As for Night Sorrow, Elder Lu doesn't need to deliberately treat him well. Let him experience his own hardships in the sect. But you must send experts to protect him. Should we let him participate in the 7-sect grand competition 2 years later? For cultivators, 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. It was not too early for Lu Qingyuan to ask now. It's not easy for a genius to come to the Tianyin clan. How can we not let him participate? But before that, we must keep the news a secret. Also pay attention to his strength. If he's a feather god, it's best if he doesn't break through for the time being. Let's see if he can get first place in the feather god realm. Our Tianyin school hasn't won first place in the 7-sect grand competition for so long that even I can't remember it. Yuan Tianji sighed. Without waiting for Lu Qingyuan to speak, he added, also confirm Night Sorrow's origin and ask if he needs anything. Okay, I'll take care of these things. Is there still no news from the sect leader? Lu Qingyuan, who responded, looked at Yuan Tianji and asked. No news. I've already asked that person. He can't be sure where the sect leader went. He only knows that the sect leader didn't die. When Yuan Tianji mentioned the matter of the sect master, he sighed. Tianyin school was the only one among the 7 major sects whose sect leader was missing. Without a sect leader, Tianyin school had always been at a disadvantage in the confrontation with the other sections. If it wasn't for the fact that a super-existence had a relationship with Tianyin school might have even been destroyed. Even that person can't be found. It seems that the sect leader has very likely entered the 3 forbidden areas. Lu Qingyuan's face was full of worry. However, when he thought of Night Sorrow and saw the future, his mood suddenly became much better. At this time, Night Sorrow had already separated from Si Kongxiang and the others, and was taken to the outer sect to report. After meeting the outer sect elders, he was taken by an outer sect deacon to the outer sect disciples' residence. Tianyin school had existed for so many years, and had countless outer sect disciples. They had already opened up 16 mountains as their residence. According to the time of entry, Night Sorrow was brought to the outer sect's 16th mountain. After arranging a courtyard for Night Sorrow and leaving behind the disciples' attire, identity jade token and relevant books, the deacon left directly and didn't stay to chat with Night Sorrow. Compared to Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, who received a lot of attention, the strength he displayed was too mediocre. At this time, those people from the Sex Alliance basically went to rope in those 3 prodigies. Who's already successfully entered Tianyin school? Who wants to come out for a breather? After the deacon left, Night Sorrow didn't immediately check those books in Tianyin school. Instead, he went to the vast heaven pagoda to visit everyone. The courtyard arranged by the sect was actually very big. It was dozens of times bigger than the courtyard Night Sorrow bought in Hebei City. However, after he spoke, only Jingyan, Holai Xianjizi, and some servants of the Yi family walked out of the vast heaven pagoda. Because everyone had already heard about the cruel rules of Tianyin school in the vast heaven pagoda, the family didn't want to bring trouble to Night Sorrow. As expected of one of the 7 great sects of Yinxian continent, even the outer sect disciples' residence is so imposing. Xianjizi and Holai, who walked out of the vast heaven pagoda, looked as if they had never seen the world and looked around the entire courtyard. Imposing is imposing, but the path of cultivation arranged by the sect for the disciples is very cruel. Night Sorrow, who was looking at the sect's books, learned that outer and inner sect disciples had to rely on their own efforts to obtain cultivation methods, secret arts, pills, and even the opportunity to be taught by the elders. They had to earn sect points and exchange them. Only when they were promoted to core disciples would they be nurtured by the sect. Actually, this is normal. If you don't have enough talent, you have to rely on hard work to make up for it. Jingyan, who had just walked out of the vast heaven pagoda, said. Night Sorrow had just joined Tianyan school, and she hadn't decided whether or not to join. She was a low-level divine lord and had a powerful bloodline. If she joined, she would probably be nurtured vigorously. However, they still couldn't see the situation of Tianyan school clearly, and weren't in a hurry to make a decision. No matter how strong your talent is, it's a waste if you don't work hard. Xianjizi, who had already broken through to upper-level divine feather, heard Jingyan's words and said with deep emotion. When he was in the lower realm, he was also a big shot who could move unhindered. In the divine realm, he didn't work hard enough and immediately faded into the crowd. With brother's talent, it's definitely not too late to catch up. Knowing that Xianjizi was lamenting because of those years of delay, Night Sorrow smiled and comforted him. Oh my, a bunch of trash, boasting shamelessly about the Tao here? You dare to claim that you have strong talent? At this moment, a discordant voice was heard. Then a mid-level divine lord rushed into Night Sorrow's courtyard with 6 or 7 divine feather gods. They had just been assigned here and Night Sorrow hadn't set up a defensive array yet, so they weren't stopped at all. Who are you? Chapter 2558. Who are we? Haha, we entered the sect earlier than you. So of course we're your senior brothers. Night Moon, we're here to see you. Aren't you happy? The leader of the group was a horse-faced cultivator named Xiao Yuyang. He had a playful smile on his face. The 6 half-step high gods behind him glanced left and right as if they were the ones who had taken the initiative. When they noticed Jingyan, they couldn't take their eyes off her. Oh, what advice do you have for me, senior brother? Night Sorrow asked Xiao Yuyang. Haha. Of course, he had to give him some pointers. We're here to teach you how to use your identity jade card. Xiao Yuyang smiled maliciously and continued. Also, the path of cultivation is like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't advance, you'll fall behind. Since you've entered the Tianyan school, you should have no distracting thoughts and focus on cultivation. She's just a pretty skeleton. Staying here will only hinder your cultivation. I'll take her with me when I leave. New disciples would have at least 100 sect points in their identity jade cards. This was the reward for climbing the sky cloud ladder. The horse-faced cultivator Xiao Yuyang clearly intended to plunder Yishang's sect and take Jingyan away. He couldn't see through Jingyan's cultivation and thought she was just Night Sorrow's concubine. Senior brother's words make sense. As a cultivator, we should have no distracting thoughts. Yishang sneered as an idea formed in his mind. Xiao Yuyang was one of the strongest lesser high gods. He was much stronger than North Sea City's Mingi. Night Sorrow and Jingyan could kill him with a snap of their fingers, but he didn't. Instead, he transmitted to Xianjizi. Brother, do you want to try fighting a high god? A high god? Xianjizi said bitterly. I'm afraid I'm not a match. I'm not a heaven-defying existence like you, Captain. It's fine. You're not a match today, and you won't be a match tomorrow. But one day, you'll be able to defeat him. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, you mean to keep them here for a long time? Xianjizi immediately understood and asked with a smile. Today, I will set a rule. Those who trespass into our mansion, no matter who they are, will not be allowed to leave. After Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Xianjizi, he looked at the complacent Xiao Yuyang and the others. At this moment, Xiao Yuyang thought that Night Sorrow had chosen to give in and sneered. Since you're so tactful, you'll be spared some physical pain. Hand over your identity token. All right, take it. Night Sorrow smiled and handed over his identity jade card. Seeing Xiao Yuyang really use his hand to catch it, Jingyan and Xianjizi laughed. What is it? After receiving the jade tablet, Xiao Yuyang discovered that Night Sorrow, Jingyan, and Xianjizi's gazes were somewhat strange. He shouted angrily. What are you laughing at? That's right, what are you laughing at? The other feather gods also felt that their robbery was a bit disrespectful, and they began to reprimand them. Since you can't leave, why don't you tell me about the structure of Tianyan School's disciples? Night Sorrow guessed that the Tianyin school's various alliances should be controlled by the Tianyin school's core disciples, or seed disciples. But he didn't know the specific details, and there were no records in the ancient records given by the sect, so he asked, "What's the matter? We can't leave? I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Brothers, teach him a lesson." Even if Xiao Yuyang's brain wasn't very bright, he could still see Night Sorrow's attitude and immediately gave the order. Until now, he still thought that Night Sorrow was an ordinary disciple who could only climb the Tianyin school's myriad steps. "Yes, Boss Yuyang," Xiao Yuyang ordered, and the 6 feather gods immediately prepared to attack. "Go outside and reflect on yourselves." Before they could attack, Night Sorrow erupted with a terrifying divine domain and suppressed them all. He grabbed them and threw them into the courtyard, and with a thought he trapped the 6 feather gods. After that, he imprisoned Xiao Yuyang in another defensive formation. These 2 arrays were designed according to the pattern of the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array. They weren't as terrifying as the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array, but they could imprison for a long time. It was almost impossible for Xiao Yuyang and the 6 feather gods to break out of the array with their strength. "Brother Night Moon, you are so strong. Are you stronger than Brother Sikong?" Han Qianfan, who was in the Clear Sky Pagoda, asked in shock when he saw Night Sorrow easily suppress Xiao Yuyang in the array, combined with the 100-fold acceleration spatial artifact. "Brother Han, come out. I'll leave these feather gods for you to interrogate. The Identity Jade token can record sect points. Transfer all their sect points to this Jade token." Night Sorrow was very easygoing, but he didn't answer the question. He handed the Identity Jade token to Han Qianfan. Good. Although Night Sorrow didn't answer the question, he didn't deny it either. Han Qianfan immediately understood that he wasn't simple. After receiving the Jade token, he stood outside the array and interrogated the trapped feather gods. At first, these feather gods fantasized about breaking out of the array, but they gradually gave up resistance and handed over all their sect points. They expressed that they were willing to pay the price in exchange for their freedom. They completely understood that this newcomer called Night Moon was a wolf in sheep's clothing. His strength was unfathomable. "When we leave the outer sect, we'll let them out. Let them cultivate without any distracting thoughts." When Han Qianfan told Night Sorrow about the feather god's requests, Night Sorrow made this decision. After speaking, Night Sorrow looked at Xianjizi and said, "Brother, are you ready? If you are, I'll release Xiao Yuyang. It's not good for you to fight him in a sealed space." "Okay. Let him out." Xianjizi blew his beard and familiarized himself with the equipment and divine artifacts that Night Sorrow gave him. These were all top-grade items that ordinary feather gods could use. They were better than ordinary divine artifacts. "Brother, you can fight with all your strength. Don't worry about your safety. In addition, my strength completely transcends the outer sect. Use the cultivation resources here well." After releasing Xiao Yuyang from the array, Night Sorrow spoke to Xianjizi. Xianjizi had also ascended from the lower realm. His talent was actually quite good, but he had been silent for too many years. Night Sorrow was prepared to give the opportunity to cultivate in the outer sect to Xianjizi, so that he could focus on improving his strength. This Captain Xia, Xianjizi, who knew Night Sorrow's painstaking efforts, didn't say anything polite. He fought with all his strength against Xiao Yuyang. In this battle, although Xianjizi used all his methods, he was still no match for Xiao Yuyang. This made him very angry. In the past, he could fight across realms at will, but now he couldn't do it at all. "It's fine. Just quickly improve your strength. As long as you find your heart, you can still shake the world." Chapter 2559. Captain. Is this okay? I'm afraid. Xianjizi took the jade tablet with an ugly expression. He was afraid that he couldn't bear the name Night Moon. "Don't worry. Few people in Tianyin school know me. If you say you're Night Moon, they won't kill you. When you're strong enough, you can climb the sky cloud ladder." Night Sorrow comforted him. "I'll interrogate Xiao Yuyang and understand the sect's situation. Then I'll go visit my other friends. Before I leave, I'll set up a defensive array and let you control it." As soon as he arrived at the courtyard, some senior disciples rushed over. Night Sorrow knew that the other weaker disciples would also encounter the same thing, so he prepared to help. As for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, they were the proud sons and daughters of heaven. The major forces would try to rope them in, so they definitely wouldn't target them. He wasn't worried at all. Senior brother Xiao Yuyang, tell me what you know. Night Sorrow released Xiao Yuyang again. You're shameless. Xiao Yuyang, who was released again, looked like he wanted to eat someone. But facing Night Sorrow, he didn't have the same imposing manner as before. How can I not be shameless? Hand over the sex points and hand over the beauties with both hands? Night Sorrow retorted. If you didn't like to bully new disciples, how could you encounter such a predicament? You're obviously very strong. Why did you pretend to be an ordinary disciple? Xiao Yuyang angrily rebuked. He felt that Night Sorrow's divine domain was even stronger than some monarch god seed disciples. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. I'm the one asking you, not the other way around. Tell me the general situation of the sect. Otherwise, you'll be imprisoned in the courtyard forever, and be laughed at by the entire outer sect. Night Sorrow, who had been very calm, suddenly spoke with a heavy tone. Xiao Yuyang originally wanted to say something ruthless, but after thinking for a moment he said, I'll tell you everything and then you'll let me go. I won't tell anyone about what happened today. You don't have the right to negotiate, but I will reduce your sentence appropriately. Night Sorrow knew that Xiao Yuyang was just a nobody in the entire Tianyan school, so the things he knew were limited. All right, I'll tell you everything I know. When Night Sorrow released a little bit of his divine domain, Xiao Yuyang would be suppressed to the point that he couldn't bear it. He didn't use the people behind him as a threat, and slowly explained the situation of Tianyan school. It turned out that the status of outer disciples in Tianyan school was quite low. They were not regarded as members of Tianyan school by inner disciples and above. As for inner court disciples, core disciples and seed disciples, they were actually collectively called inner court disciples. Core disciples were the ones with the best talent among the inner disciples, and were heavily nurtured by the sect. They might not be particularly strong, but their future was promising. As for seed disciples, they were disciples above the Divine Lord level. They weren't far from the Divine King, and had already seen the dawn of becoming a Divine King. They were also called Divine King seeds. Some of the inner court alliances were controlled by these Divine King seeds. These Divine Lords were basically all core disciples who had cultivated to where they were now. Since ancient times, there had only been one exception. He wasn't a core disciple, but he became a Divine King seed, and eventually became a Divine King. What's the name of the person who became a Divine King? Do you know? Night Sorrow asked curiously after hearing Xiao Yuyang talk about this legendary person. Back then, he used the name Zhenyi. I heard that it wasn't his full name. No one knows what his real name is. It's said that he ascended from the lower world. This cultivator called Zhenyi was a legendary person in Tianyan school. Xiao Yuyang admired him a lot when he talked about him. He ascended from the lower world, and he wasn't a core disciple. He's very similar to me, Night Sorrow murmured with a smile. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xiao Yuyang looked at him as if he were an idiot. If you go out and say this, you'll probably be beaten to death. What? Is this name so legendary? Night Sorrow asked non-committally. He was very interested in and admired this legendary person, but he wasn't afraid of him. He's the last person to become a Divine King in Tianyan school. Now all the Divine King seeds in the sect look up to him as a role model. If you say that you're very similar to their role model, won't you be beaten to death? Xiao Yuyang said speechlessly. All right, I know all this. I still have things to do. Go back and cultivate without any distracting thoughts. After understanding what Xiao Yuyang knew, Night Sorrow locked him back in the trapping array. You're not particular. You got so much information, but you didn't let me out. After being locked in the trapping array again, Xiao Yuyang's mood collapsed. At that moment, Night Sorrow replied, It's a good thing that I let you cultivate without any distracting thoughts. If you're still the same as before, you'll be killed sooner or later. All right. I'll cultivate properly. Xiao Yuyang understood the meaning behind his words. He knew that he couldn't get out, so he didn't waste any more words. He was tired of being a hired thug for the people above him. Old brother, I'm going to visit the other 2 disciples who entered the sect with me. You cultivate according to the ancient records for outer sect disciples. Before leaving, Night Sorrow gave Xianjizi some instructions and left behind a spirit crystal. Alright, I Xianjizi definitely won't lose to the name of Night Moon. Xianjizi swore as he clutched his identity jade tablet. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Before leaving, Night Sorrow comforted Xianjizi and told him not to worry too much. He changed into an outer sect disciple's uniform and went to look for the other 2 cultivators who entered the sect with him. Since they entered the sect together, they shouldn't be far from each other. Kid, wait a moment. Night Sorrow had just left the courtyard when a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan. Elder Lu, why are you here? Seeing Lu Qingyuan, Night Sorrow was a little surprised. Of course I'm here to find you. With your talent, staying in the outer sect is obviously a waste of time. I'm going to arrange something else for you. Lu Qingyuan looked at Night Sorrow with a terrifying expression. Elder Lu, if you have something to say, just say it. Night Sorrow was a little scared by the other party's gaze. Haha, what are you afraid of? Do you think this elder will eat you? Seeing Night Sorrow's reaction, Lu Qingyuan laughed and said, the specific arrangements will depend on your true strength. How about this? You come with me and climb the stairway to heaven again. Vice sect leader Yuan Tianji had told him to let Night Sorrow develop on his own, but Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. Why must I climb the stairway to heaven? Night Sorrow wondered. This elder wants to see your true potential, Lu Qingyuan said with a serious expression. Chapter 2560. Just this request. Disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan was a little startled by Night Sorrow's words. This request was a little too simple. Yes, just this one request. As long as Elder can help me clear up my doubts, Night Sorrow will definitely do his best to climb the sky cloud ladder. However, there have been some problems with my power of merit recently, which may have affected the results of the sky cloud ladder. Night Sorrow did not hide the fact that his power of merit was abnormal. What's going on with your power of merit? Lu Qingyuan, who originally wanted Night Sorrow to ask questions, immediately asked about his power of merit. I've been using it too frequently recently and suffered a backlash. I reckon I need to obtain some merit before I can use it again. Night Sorrow explained and said directly. Also, my question is how to obtain the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir. What do you want that elixir for? This question made Lu Qingyuan frown. Of course it's to save someone, Night Sorrow said matter-of-factly. If you need other elixirs, I can immediately help you find them. However, I can't do anything about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir. At the mention of the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir, Lu Qingyuan's face suddenly became gloomy. Elder, you mean you know about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir? When Night Sorrow heard this, he immediately took out a jar of always wine from his spatial artifact and handed it to Lu Qingyuan. It's useless even if you give me wine. You can't get this elixir. No one in the Tianyan school can get it. Lu Qingyuan, who took the wine, gulped it down gloomily. Elder Lu, tell me what you know. Night Sorrow will naturally go back to investigate. What do you mean by evading the topic? Lu Qingyuan obviously knew some inside information, but he did not say anything. Night Sorrow was a little anxious. The Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir was related to whether or not the god Jin Yuan could recover. He was still very concerned about it. Not to mention the god Jin Yuan himself. All the things Long Tianqing had done for him made him very grateful. This favor had to be repaid. It's no use telling you. Only Lord Sect Master knows how to refine the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations pill, but Lord Sect Master has been missing for a long time. Lu Qingyuan finished the wine in the jar and sighed. Sigh. It is precisely because of the disappearance of the headmaster that our Tianyan school has been declining day by day. Lord Sect Master is missing? Where did he go? Night Sorrow quickly asked. Let's go. We'll talk as we walk. Lu Qingyuan summoned his mount. It was a saber leopard with a pair of wings. The winged saber leopard was dozens of feet long. Okay. Night Sorrow replied and flew onto the saber leopard's back. With Lu Qingyuan's permission, the Divine Lord Level Blade Leopard did not resist. Our sect master's soul lamp is still lit, but we can't divine his location at all. According to Mayan Vice Sect Master Yuan's judgment, our sect master was either imprisoned by a ruler or entered one of the 3 great forbidden grounds. On the saber leopard's back, Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. This matter was a secret of the Tianyin school. He did not speak of it openly. So that's how it is. This is troublesome. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. What is Lord Sect Master's strength? The Divine King Realm. Like the other 6 sect masters, he is infinitely close to becoming a ruler. He is only 1 step away. He can be considered a half-step ruler, Lu Qingyuan said proudly. There were a total of 7 known rulers in the God Realm. Apart from them, the 7 sect masters of the Cloud Immortal Continent were the strongest. Then I think your judgment is wrong. There is another possibility. Lord Sect Master might have found a ruler's cave to break through to the ruler realm, and is trapped inside. Or perhaps he is cultivating inside to break through to the ruler realm. Disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan and Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's judgment were both pessimistic. Night Sorrow's opinion was the opposite. You don't say. That is really possible. However, the number of rulers who have fallen in the God realm is limited. The opportunities have long been snatched away. Lu Qingyuan denied. Then he said, hopefully Lord Sect Master has found an undiscovered cave and is cultivating inside. It was also a consolation for himself. Just think on the bright side. Night Sorrow consoled. Then he looked around. The entire Heaven Cloud Mountain was floating in the clouds. It was very beautiful. Tianyin School's various divine birds were flying leisurely in the forest. Dragons and phoenixes could be seen everywhere. Sitting on the saber leopard's back, Night Sorrow saw many species that did not exist in the 9 regions world. What? You want to tame one and make it your mount? Seeing Night Sorrow looking at the various divine birds, Lu Qingyuan asked with a smile. As a disciplinary elder, helping to tame a divine bird was a trivial matter. Tianyin School had an elder in charge of this. No, I'm just thinking about my friends when I first started cultivating. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. He was thinking about his former companion, Tianyu, as well as his younger sister, Yinyanxiao. Ascending to the God Realm had been a bumpy road, but the Night Moon Dynasty's development could be considered smooth. Many people had already broken through to the Feather God Realm. He believed that the future would be even better. He was somewhat worried about his old friends in the lower realm. Don't forget your original intentions. Night Sorrow, you are a person who values relationships. I am optimistic about your future. Lu Qingyuan praised. Then he suddenly said, there is someone at the Sky Cloud staircase. Let's observe for a while before deciding whether or not to go down. We suspect that there is a spy in Tianyin School. It's best if you don't expose your true identity. He was already a half-step divine king, so his divine sense could cover a greater area than Night Sorrow's. He could sense that there was someone at the Sky Cloud staircase. It seems that when it comes to benefits, there will be a fight. Even the powerful Tianyin School could have a spy. This made Night Sorrow feel that there was no such thing as a pure land in the God Realm. There seems to be something interesting down there. Lu Qingyuan did not respond to Night Sorrow's words. Using his divine sense, he said, the 2 beauties of Tianyin School are fighting. Their stakes are quite interesting. The 2 beauties of Tianyin School? Night Sorrow, who had just entered Tianyin School, did not know who these 2 beauties were. They are seed disciples, Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang. They are both high divine lords, and are ranked in the top 10 of the Heavenly Cloud list. Both of them have not changed their appearance. Half of the disputes between seed disciples are related to these 2. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile. Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow, change your appearance. I will take you down. You have the power of virtue protecting your body, so they should not be able to see your true appearance. Elder Lu, aren't you a disciplinary elder? You should be very strict. Why do I feel that your eyes are shining when you see beautiful women? Night Sorrow asked. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan did not look like a disciplinary elder at all. You don't know how outstanding they are. TSK, if I can marry any one of them, my Lu family's bloodline talent will be greatly improved. Lu Qingyuan's originally white beard turned black when he was about to go down, making him look a lot younger. You are an elder, you can be considered a teacher. Don't you feel shameless for thinking about the disciples of your sect? Besides, with your cultivation level, you still want to have children. Isn't that just a fool's dream? Before meeting the two beauties of Tianyan School, Lu Qingyuan had the appearance of an expert, but now he could not hold it anymore. Chapter 2561. As the saying goes, everyone has a love for beauty. What's wrong with an elder? An elder is also a human. The life of a cultivator in the God realm is almost endless. If you don't find a confidant to share it with, how sad would that be? Disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan, who was carefully inspecting the two beauties of Tianyan School, said with a sigh. He was originally an orphan, but his cultivation talent was not bad. He successfully entered Tianyan School and became a seed disciple. In the end, he stayed in Tianyan School as an elder. He gradually found the value of his existence, but he always had a regret in his life, and that was that no one accompanied him. His heart was always empty. It's indeed not a complete life without companionship. If there's a suitable one in the future, I'll help Elder look out. Just now, when Lu Qingyuan said that he had obtained a beauty to improve the bloodline of the Lu family, Night Sorrow thought that he was a disciple of the family. Now that he heard that he was an orphan, he felt some sympathy. Night Sorrow's greatest achievement was not becoming the first emperor of the 9 regions world, nor was it becoming a powerful feather god who could challenge a divine lord, but having a complete and happy family. It was completely understandable that Elder Lu's loneliness could be understood. No need. Now there's an opportunity. Ha! The heavens are really helping me, Lu Qingyuan. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lu Qingyuan hurriedly waved his hand to indicate that there was no need. He transmitted his voice. The content of their bet is very interesting. They bet on the result of climbing the stairway to heaven, and the loser has to marry the first man after the bet takes effect. They made a heavenly oath. As long as I'm the first to arrive, everything will be settled. Within tens of thousands of miles, Lu Qingyuan carefully used his divine sense to investigate. There were no other cultivators at all. As long as he went down and put Night Sorrow into his spatial artifact, there would be no competition. Isn't it too childish for the two of them to bet like this? Hearing such a bet, Night Sorrow was speechless. They were both divine lords, but they were like children. Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang were both proud daughters of the Tianyan School's disciples, ranked in the top 10 of the Heavenly Cloud list, but they actually made such a bet. If the loser met a piece of trash, wouldn't that be a tragedy? You don't understand. Their enmity had been going on for a long time. Both of them admired the number 1 seed of the divine king Mu Baiyu. This time, they are probably confident in themselves and want to defeat the other party and force her to marry him. This way, their biggest competitor will be eliminated. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile. Give up resisting and enter my spatial artifact. I don't want you to steal my good fortune. To tell you the truth, I have no interest in this kind of thing. But don't you think that you won't get true companionship like this? Night Sorrow was speechless. He asked, Is Mu Baiyu really that outstanding to make 2 heavens proud daughters like this? Excellent, very excellent. He will be the future number 1 genius disciple of our Tianyan school. He had the bearing of the divine king. Moreover, he was so handsome that many women felt ashamed of their inferiority. When he played the zither under the moonlight, he looked like a white-robed immortal. If I were a female cultivator, I would probably be tempted by him too. Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but shake his head at the mention of Mu Baiyu. That was a person that made him feel ashamed of his inferiority. Is the person you're talking about the legend called Jinyi? Night Sorrow, who had already entered Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, couldn't help but ask while sighing at Mu Baiyu's excellence. In comparison, he was more interested in the legend that everyone was talking about, because that person was the same as him. They both ascended from the lower realm. Yes. We're here. I won't talk to you anymore. I'll let you out in a bit. When they got close, Lu Qingyuan laughed dryly. Then he put on his usual serious appearance and descended towards the sky cloud staircase. Xikong Qianxue and Nalan Shuang. What are you two doing here? Are you going to challenge the sky cloud staircase? After landing, Lu Qingyuan stood with his hands behind his back, looking very calm. Greetings, disciplinary elder. We're here to challenge the sky cloud staircase. Elder is here? Xikong Qianxue and Nalan Shuang immediately greeted the disciplinary elder, Lu Qingyuan, when they saw him. Respecting one's teachers was the first rule of the Tianyan school. Naturally, they wouldn't go against it. However, during the process of greeting, Xikong Qianxue laughed and transmitted her voice to Nalan Shuang. Your future husband has appeared. He's a couple of 10,000-year-old bachelors from the reincarnation cycle. And he also has a 10,000-year-old iceberg face like you. They're a perfect match. It's your husband. Nalan Shuang was just like her name. Her face was cold and gave people a feeling that she was 1,000 miles away. It was only when she was facing Mu Baiyu that she would smile. Well, I found a genius disciple and brought him to challenge the sky cloud staircase. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, casually replied. Night Sorrow, come out. Greetings, senior sisters. After speaking, Lu Qingyuan let Night Sorrow out of the spatial artifact. A genius among the outer sect disciples? Originally, Xikong Qianxue and Nalan Shuang were interested in the genius disciple Lu Qingyuan spoke of because of his words. However, when they saw Night Sorrow, who was wearing the outer sect disciple's uniform, a trace of disappointment flashed across their faces. Ah! It's rare for an outer sect disciple to have the potential to become a core disciple, so I personally brought him here to test him. Quick, greet the two senior sisters. The two in front of you are super geniuses ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, explained in a low voice. Ever since he was promoted to the disciplinary elder, he had always been reserved. Junior brother greets the two senior sisters. Night Sorrow had already given Night Moon's identity token to Xianjizi. It wasn't appropriate for him to say his name, so he directly referred to himself as junior brother. Seeing Night Sorrow greet her, Nalan Shuang, who had a cold expression on her face, only responded softly. She didn't even look at him. On the other hand, Xikong Qianxue looked at Night Sorrow with a smile and said, if you want to become a core disciple in the Divine Feather Realm, you need to reach at least 13,500 Dao Force. Junior brother, you have to work hard. Thank you for the reminder, senior sister. Senior sisters, you have arrived here first. Please take the lead and climb the sky cloud staircase. Junior brother can learn from this experience. Night Sorrow returned the greeting and said. At the same time, he thought of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. Both of their scores had exceeded 14,000 Dao Force, which meant that they had already become core disciples. Actually, climbing the sky cloud staircase doesn't have any skills. It's purely a test of strength. Since junior brother is a little nervous, senior sister will demonstrate it for you. Nalan Shuang didn't even bother with Night Sorrow. Xikong Qianxue replied with a smile and walked towards the sky cloud staircase. When she was about to climb the sky cloud staircase, she looked back at Nalan Shuang and said with a smile, don't forget our bet. I, Nalan Shuang, naturally won't go back on my word, because the loser will definitely be you. Nalan Shuang said with a cold expression. I recently encountered an opportunity, and my strength has increased a lot. Just wait for your marriage. Xikong Qianxue snorted, then walked up the sky cloud staircase and started climbing. Elder, how high can these two senior sisters reach? At this moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice curiously. Chapter 2562. The Tianyan School has a standard to measure the geniuses. Feather God Realm, 13,500, High God Realm, 27,000, Divine Monarch Realm, 54,000. Both of them are well-known figures among the Divine Monarchs. Their results are definitely above 54,000. It's not easy to judge how good they are. Let's wait and see. Hearing Night Sorrow's question, Lu Qingyuan replied and started watching. Xikong Qianxue, who had just climbed the sky cloud stairs, didn't seem to feel any resistance. She was like a swift, or like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It wasn't until she passed the 40,000th step that her speed slowed down a little. While adjusting, she climbed up step by step. Night Sorrow. Who do you think is better between the two of them? If you were to choose, who would you choose? Sikong Qianshua's climbing process was a bit dull. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared to be serious, secretly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. If I were to choose, I definitely wouldn't choose either of them. I'm a man with a family. If I were to give an elder a suggestion, I think it would be Sikong Qianshua. Nailan Shuang is cold and arrogant. She gives people a very uncomfortable feeling. Night Sorrow said honestly. Each of his wives were outstanding beauties. He didn't have the slightest interest in Sikong Qianshua or Nailan Shuang. This elder is the opposite of what you are thinking. In any case, neither of them will be sincere when they're together with me. I might as well try the taste of an ice mountain beauty. In their heavenly Tao oath, they said that they would serve me in bed. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared calm and collected, transmitted his voice with a trace of vulgarity. I say, Elder Lu. In any case, you are a disciplinary elder. Can't you maintain some image? Night Sorrow, who heard the transmission, said speechlessly. Sai, do you think that I took the initiative to become a disciplinary elder? Back then, I was forced to do something beyond my ability by the sect master. However, I, Lu Qingyuan, have never made any mistakes in my position. I am worthy of the sect master's trust. Lu Qingyuan sighed. At this moment, he saw that Sikong Qianshua had already climbed to the 60,000th step. Her speed was already as slow as a snail. He asserted. She will finish climbing within 10 steps. I think she can climb at least 1 or 2,000 steps. Night Sorrow, who was looking over, could not see Sikong Qianshua's expression. But when he turned his head to the side, he saw a rare smile on Nailan Shuang's face. This proved that Nailan Shuang could easily climb this height. If Sikong Qianshua could be easily defeated by Nailan Shuang, she would definitely not gamble with her. She definitely had a trump card that she had not used yet. It's true. Lu Qingyuan's observation skills had plummeted because of the two beauties. After Night Sorrow spoke, he instantly saw Sikong Qianshua's body emitting a strange seven-colored light. After that, she continued ascending. Seems like you also have some tricks up your sleeve. Seeing that Sikong Qianshua was still climbing, Nailan Shuang's expression immediately turned cold. Sikong Qianshua, if you work harder, Nailan Shuang will be mine. Ha! Sikong Qianshua continued climbing. Lu Qingyuan proudly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. He still preferred ice beauties. Elder, you are the disciplinary elder. Pay attention to your expression. Also, I'll have to trouble you to wipe your saliva. Yi Shang reminded him speechlessly. Lu Qingyuan's appearance was practically that of a pig. This. The peak of my life is about to arrive. This elder was a little too complacent. Please forgive me. Hearing the reminder, Lu Qingyuan immediately recovered his serious expression and secretly transmitted his voice. Nailan Shuang, watch carefully. 62,132 steps. At this moment, Sikong Qianshua, who was on the sky cloud staircase, shouted down. I see it. Come down. Nailan Shuang replied with a complicated expression and slowly walked towards the sky cloud staircase. Sikong Qianshua, who just came down, brushed past Nailan Shuang and said with a smile, I remember that your best result was just over 60,000 steps. You definitely won't be able to reach this result. Serve Elder Lu well in the future. It's not bad that you can find a home like him. At least it's better than marrying an outside disciple. It's better for you to serve Elder Lu well. This time I will definitely win. Nailan Shuang replied with a cold expression. She released her divine domain and started climbing the sky cloud staircase. Her rhythm was similar to Sikong Qianshua's. She quickly reached 40,000 steps before slowing down. At this moment, Sikong Qianshua returned to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow's side. She looked at Lu Qingyuan with a smile and said, Elder Lu, I heard that you are unmarried. What do you think of Nailan? I feel that the two of you are very suitable. Qianshua, don't make fun of this elder. This elder can be said to be devoted to the Tianyan school, until my death. How can I have time to think about these feelings? Lu Qingyuan pretended to decline, but in his heart he said, Nailan Shuang is not bad. You are also quite good. Either of you is fine. No matter which one of you I take down today, I, Lu Qingyuan, will be very satisfied. Haha, elder. Look at you, you can't even close your mouth from smiling. Do you already know about our bet and your heart is already blooming? Lu Qingyuan couldn't control himself and was seen through by Xikong Qianxue. She laughed and joked. What bet? What bet? Lu Qingyuan pretended. He was a half-step divine king, and was stronger than Xikong Qianxue. He was confident that his probing with his divine soul wasn't discovered. Haha, it doesn't matter if you know or not. Anyway, if Nailan Shuang loses to me, she will have to marry you and be your wife willingly. Xikong Qianxue raised her head to look at Nailan Shuang on the sky cloud stairs and smiled proudly. There is such a bet? Both of you are the genius disciples of our sect, and will be the pillars of the divine realm in the future. Making such a bet is too childish. Lu Qingyuan pretended to be angry and said, You say it as if you are unwilling. Xikong Qianxue muttered in a low voice. At this time, everyone in the Clear Sky Pagoda also started to despise Lu Qingyuan. They felt that he was simply not on the same level as the disciplinary elder. Yang Lei suddenly asked sharply, Husband, to be honest, if you didn't meet us, who would you choose? Between the two of them, which one would you choose? Before meeting you, I would wait for your arrival peacefully. I wouldn't choose anyone else. Night Sorrow replied to Yang Lei's sharp question with a smile. Haha, little 13, you really know how to talk. Hearing this answer, Oi in the Clear Sky Pagoda immediately laughed. The others also smiled and felt that Night Sorrow's answer was very witty. At this time, Nailan Shuang had also climbed to the 60,000th step. She was like Xikong Qianxue just now and started to struggle. Haha, Elder Lu, I have to congratulate you. Seeing that Nailan Shuang's movements were slow, Xikong Qianxue cupped her fists towards Lu Qingyuan. At this time, Lu Qingyuan had the experience of the last time. He naturally wouldn't be fooled by appearances and said firmly, Nailan Shuang definitely still has some tricks up her sleeve. Chapter 2563. What's going on? Did she also get a fortuitous encounter? Seeing that Nailan Shuang's aura had become much stronger, Xikong Qianxue immediately became nervous. The person she liked was also Mu Baiyu. She definitely did not want to marry Lu Qingyuan. Let's just wait and see. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. His mentality was quite relaxed. If there was no Nailan Shuang, having Xikong Qianxue was also not bad. But soon Lu Qingyuan was dumbfounded. After Nailan Shuang climbed to the 62,132nd step, although she tried her best, she could not continue climbing. In the end, she stopped at this height. Her result was exactly the same as Xikong Qianxue's. Hehe, you two are not bad. This result should be around 5th place among the Divine King seeds. Lu Qingyuan pretended that nothing had happened and commented on their results. In fact, he wanted to cry. He transmitted his voice, Night Sorrow, help me find out if they have a tiebreaker. Elder, you should ask this question yourself. Both sides were tied. Lu Qingyuan was happy for a long time, but it was very likely that he was happy for nothing. Night Sorrow wanted to laugh. Why ask? How can I have the nerve to ask such a thing? Lu Qingyuan was speechless. Not long after, Nailan Shuang came down from the sky cloud ladder. She did not even look over and walked away with a gloomy expression. Seeing Nailan Shuang leave, Xikong Qianxue did not stop her. She said goodbye to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow and also left. What is this? The two women left one after another. Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he sighed repeatedly. He thought that good things had come from the heavens. Who would have thought that the two proud women would actually be tied? This means that you might not have any karma with them. It's better to rely on your own ability to find a Tao companion. Yi Shang smiled and comforted him, saying, Elder, go check and see if anyone is paying attention to this place. If not, I will go all out to climb the sky cloud ladder. After witnessing the Divine Feather Realm prodigy, and the Tianyan School's Divine King's seed climb the sky cloud ladder, He really wanted to give it a try. I've checked. There's no one around. If there is, then it must be the Divine King or the Juggernaut. If they want to hide, I naturally won't be able to discover them. After Lu Qingyuan finished speaking, he thought for a moment and said, "Do your best to climb the sky cloud ladder. I will arrange things for you according to your potential." At this moment, he had already thought of several routes for Night Sorrow. He would make arrangements based on the strength he displayed. "All right, I'll do my best this time." Night Sorrow nodded and walked towards the sky cloud staircase step by step. When he reached the bottom of the staircase, he turned around and asked, "Can I borrow external forces like divine artifacts?" "Of course not. If you rely on a divine artifact or divine talisman, you will be directly teleported down by the sky cloud ladder. Even swallowing medicinal pills on top of it was not allowed. However, you can still use secret techniques to increase your strength," Lu Qingyuan explained. "Okay." After receiving Lu Qingyuan's answer, Night Sorrow slowly stepped onto the sky cloud ladder. When he stepped onto the sky cloud ladder, a faint pressure immediately appeared. As he continued to climb, the pressure began to increase bit by bit. "I wonder what kind of surprise you will bring me." As he watched Night Sorrow's figure gradually ascend, Lu Qingyuan put away his ambiguous thoughts and focused his attention on him. After Mu Baiyu, it had been a long time since a super genius joined the Tianyan school. As for Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, although they were ranked 10th to 20th on the Feather God list, past experience had proven that these kinds of geniuses wouldn't be able to play a decisive role in the 7-sect tournament. 15,000. I've surpassed Yan Zheng, but the pressure doesn't seem to be that great. Night Sorrow, who was climbing with all his might, did indeed feel a lot of pressure when he reached the 15,000th step. This kind of pressure was extremely terrifying for normal feather gods, and would make it difficult for them to even move. However, Night Sorrow didn't seem to be affected much. As expected of a legendary figure on both lists, he's definitely much stronger than Yan Zheng. Lu Qingyuan, who was watching Night Sorrow from below, stroked his beard in a very good mood. Not long after, Lu Qingyuan's pupils began to constrict. Night Sorrow had already passed the 20,000 mark. He was heading straight for the 27,000 mark for a deity core disciple. If he can really break through the 27,000 mark, then he'll probably be able to make it into the top 30 of the deity list. If he had that kind of strength as a feather god and broke through to the deity level, then he might have a chance in the deity level competition. As he watched Night Sorrow continue to climb, Lu Qingyuan felt a sweet worry in his heart. He didn't know if he should let Night Sorrow participate in the feather god or deity level competition. 27,000. He really did reach the top. Soon Lu Qingyuan's eyes widened. He realized that the Tianyan school had really recruited a super genius. Perhaps he would become another Zhen Yi. Even if he couldn't reach Zhen Ye's level, becoming another Mu Baiyu wouldn't be a problem at all. Mu Baiyu hadn't been this strong when he was still a feather god, but he had won 7 feather god competitions in a row. Later on, he had won 5 consecutive championships in the deity level competition. He was the final glory of the Tianyan school. It was very likely that this kind of glory would appear again. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had deep feelings for the Tianyan school, not be excited? More importantly, he was the one who had discovered this genius. 30,000. I can still go up. But it should be enough. By the time he reached the 30,000th step, Night Sorrow had already activated the 33 Skies battle secret technique. His strength had increased tenfold, but he was starting to find it difficult to continue. Furthermore, he couldn't use the 7 stars berserk together with the 33 Skies battle secret technique, so he was already at his limit. Night Sorrow let out a long sigh and muttered to himself as he continued to climb. What? He can still continue climbing after 30,000? Lu Qingyuan, who was standing below, was so shocked that he was speechless. When Zhen Yi had joined the Tianyan school, he had already left the feather god realm. Naturally, he couldn't have set a new record. The Tianyan school's feather god realm record had been set by the sect master when he was young, reaching 28,000 steps. Mu Baiyu, the number 1 genius among the divine king seeds, had reached 27,000 steps when he was at the feather god realm. Now, not only had Night Sorrow broken the Tianyan School's Feather God Realm record, but he was still climbing. As he watched him climb with difficulty, Lu Qingyuan even felt that Xikong Qianxue and Nalan Shuang's achievements were insignificant. 31,220 steps. In the end, Night Sorrow stopped at this number. At this height, he truly felt as if the heavens were crushing him. He had no choice but to give up. He knew that this wasn't his limit. If he could use his power of virtue, he would definitely be able to continue climbing. Even so, this result still left Lu Qingyuan dumbfounded. When Night Sorrow came down, his eyes were shining. He tightly grasped Night Sorrow's hand and said, "I don't think that genius is enough to describe you. Did you know that you've already broken the Sect Master's Feather God Realm record? And you've even surpassed it by 3,000 steps." Only 3,000? Night Sorrow was somewhat dissatisfied when he heard this number. It wasn't that he didn't respect his seniors, but that he felt that he was very likely the strongest feather god in the history of the god realm. There should be a large gap between him and the others. You're still not satisfied with 3,000? Do you know that the Sect Master is a peerless expert who has the ability to break through to the ruler realm? There are currently only 7 rulers in the god realm. You're so much stronger than him. Yet you're still not satisfied? Lu Qingyuan said unhappily. Chapter 2564. Who can say for sure what the future holds? Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "Elder, if it's possible, Night Sorrow has a request." "What is it?" Lu Qingyuan, who was in a very bad mood, raised his hand and said, facing someone who was likely to become a ruler in the future, he was a little uncertain. Currently, he was a half-step divine king, and also the disciplinary elder of Tianyan School. His status was definitely higher than a feather god, but it would definitely be reversed in the future. "I ascended from the lower world and brought my entire family here to find a pure land for my family. I wonder if Tianyan School has such a suitable area?" Night Sorrow spoke slowly with a hint of expectation. He had already shown the relevant talent, and he believed that the people of Tianyan School would understand. Seeing Night Sorrow's expression, Lu Qingyuan immediately understood. As long as Tianyan School did the right thing, Night Sorrow would definitely stay here wholeheartedly. If the Sect Master was here, we would definitely be able to fulfill your request. But now that the Sect Master has been missing for many years, the Tianyan School situation is a little complicated. Vice Sect Leader Yuan was originally the next sect leader appointed by the sect leader. But now, Vice Sect Master Ho Jun's faction is constantly making small moves and seems to want to seize power. The relationship between the two factions is very delicate. Lu Qingyuan explained and then continued. If we rashly arrange such an area for you, Vice Sect Master Ho Jun might be able to use it against us. Unless you can make a great contribution to the sect. How much contribution do I need to get an independent mountain like the one with the Divine King's seed? Night Sorrow asked. He had already seen in the ancient records that Divine King seeds like Xikong Qianxue and Nalan Shuang were rewarded with mountains by the sect. This kind of mountain was an independent space that belonged to the Divine King's seed. If he could get one, the people of Night Moon Dynasty would have a place to settle down. There's an opportunity right in front of you. 2 years later was the 7-sect Grand Competition, also known as the 7-sect Martial Meeting. The most outstanding feather gods and high gods of the 7 great sects would all participate. As long as you can get first place in the feather god group, Vice Sect Master Yuan and I will have a reason to help you. Lu Qingyuan sighed. Ever since Mu Baiyu, our Tianyan School hasn't gotten first place in the 7-sect tournament for a long time. Is that all I need to do? Alright, I agree. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He knew that the sect had its rules. It was impossible for him to shut everyone up just because of his outstanding talent. However, if he were to show solid results, then some people would have no excuse to obstruct him. How long do you need to break through to High God? At this time, Lu Qingyuan asked. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would accidentally break through in 2 years. If he became a deity, it might not be so easy for him to win first place. As long as I want to break through, I should be able to do so at any time. I was planning to break through as soon as I join the sect. You've been stuck at the divine feather realm for a long time. Your cultivation is too low. Yishang climbed onto Lu Qingyuan's steed at his signal. Don't break through. Our Tianyun school's morale is low right now. We're just waiting for you to shine in the 7-sect tournament. You have a high chance of getting first place in the Feather God realm. But if you become a high god, it might not be so safe. Lu Qingyuan persuaded. I'll take you to Vice Sect Master Yuan first. We'll discuss what to do with you for the next 2 years. Originally, Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. However, Yishan had completely displayed his talent, so he had immediately rejected the plan he had thought of. He was afraid that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to control himself, and would suddenly become a high god. Okay. Night Sorrow replied. He casually mentioned the matter of giving his identity token to Xianjizi, and asked if there would be any negative effects. This kind of thing is very common in the Tianyun school. Many genius disciples give their identity tokens to their subordinates to manage. As for you, Vice Sect Master, and I will make a new one for you. Lu Qingyuan replied as they flew. He didn't want to expose Night Sorrow's talent before the tournament. After all, there might be spies in the Tianyun school. Okay, I'll follow Elder's arrangements. Night Sorrow didn't want to think too much about it. Not long after, he was led by Lu Qingyuan to Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's place. Vice Sect Master, this is Night Sorrow, the person I mentioned before. Lu Qingyuan took Night Sorrow's arm and introduced him as they walked into Yuan Tianji's living room. At the same time, he reported Night Sorrow's performance on the stairway to heaven. He's really a rare genius. He's only a feather god, but his aura is not weaker than an ordinary monarch god. Yuan Tianji couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard Night Sorrow's stairway to heaven result. He then calmed down and said with a smile, Night Sorrow, welcome to the Tianyun school. I believe you and the Tianyun school will help each other. If you have any requests, you can tell me. I'll try my best to fulfill them. Night Sorrow ascended from the lower realm, and brought his entire family to find a pure land for his family. Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji took the initiative to ask. Night Sorrow repeated what he said to Lu Qingyuan. Well, let me think about it. Yuan Tianji thought for a while and asked, how many people do you have in your family? Is it more than 10 million? The population isn't that great. There aren't that many people, Yishang said. Elder Lu has already told me that you agreed to participate in the 7-sect tournament. Let's do it this way. For 2 years, let your people cultivate in my mountain. When you return from the tournament, I'll arrange a mountain with the most abundant god spiritual chi for you. Yuan Tianji arranged Night Sorrow's people and looked at him. As for you, don't cultivate in these 2 years and don't do any sect missions. You can stay here and learn alchemy, equipment, and array formations. I'm the #1 alchemist in the sect other than the sect master. I should be qualified to teach you. Vice Sect Master, do you know anything about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill? Although he asked Lu Qingyuan the same question, Night Sorrow still asked about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill. Only the sect master knows how to refine this pill, but we don't know where he is now, Yuan Tianji explained. However, the sect master's pill recipe came from a secret realm. That secret realm will open again in 1,000 years. When that time comes, I'll arrange for you to enter. Vice Sect Master, that mystic realm needs Divine Lord realm to be able to enter. Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan immediately reminded. It's okay. Night Sorrow has the strength of an ordinary Divine Lord in the Divine Feather realm. 1,000 years later, he might be able to compete with Elder Lu. There won't be a problem going to that secret realm. Yuan Tianji looked at Yishang and suddenly smiled. I wonder if you've ever had a master during your cultivation journey? He meant that he wanted to take him in as a disciple. I had masters in the lower realm. Night Sorrow told him about all his masters in the lower realm. After waiting for him to finish speaking, Yuan Tianji continued. In terms of cultivation, your future path may be further than mine. However, for now my understanding of Divine Lords and the Divine King is definitely deeper than yours. I have the ability to teach you. Vice Sect Master, the matter of apprenticeship involves too much karma. Let me think about it for a few days. Yuan Tianji was very strong, and he was also the vice sect master of Tianyan school. However, they didn't know each other well. Chapter 2565. Alright. Since that's the case, I'll arrange for you and your clansmen to rest. I'll order people to send over books related to alchemy, crafting, and formations. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to come here and ask. Knowing what Night Sorrow meant, Yuan Tianji didn't force him. He arranged for Night Sorrow and the Night Moon clan to stay in a bamboo forest by the lake. He gave Night Sorrow a token. He said, "With this token you can walk around the sect as you please. If anyone makes things difficult for you, just inject your divine origin energy into the token." "Thank you, Vice Sect Leader." Night Sorrow, who received the token, thanked him and invited, "Vice Sect Leader and Elder Lu, why don't you stay for a drink before you leave?" At this time, everyone from the Night Moon clan had already come out. Some of them were setting up the courtyard. Night Sorrow's wife and daughter were carefully preparing the banquet. Everyone had been in an abyss of suffering in the divine realm. Now that they finally had a relatively safe place to stay, they were all in a good mood. "Alright. I haven't been in the mood to drink in a long time. Today, with you joining the Tianyan school, I'm in a good mood. I'll drink to my heart's content. I'll go invite Madam. I'll be back soon." Yuan Tianji, who received the invitation, happily agreed. As for Lu Qingyuan, after Night Sorrow introduced his wives, he didn't want to talk to Night Sorrow anymore. He lamented that the heavens were too unfair. However, after drinking, he completely forgot about his unhappiness. He felt that Jing Yun, this divine lord, was very good. She was strong, talented, and extremely beautiful. However, when he paid careful attention, he noticed that Jing Yun would often inadvertently glance at Night Sorrow during the banquet. Lu Qingyuan's heart was filled with sorrow. The family banquet was joyous and harmonious. After entertaining the guests and sending them off, Night Sorrow accompanied his family for a few days in peace. Half a month later, when he returned to the outer sect to visit Xianjizi, he found that there were already more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. These people were probably here to cause trouble, and were trapped by the formation. Night Sorrow didn't care about them, but when he saw Xianjizi, he immediately flew into a rage. At this moment, Xianjizi was seriously injured. He was lying on the bed on his last breath. "Brother, take this pill." He walked to Night Sorrow's bedside, took out a healing pill, and gave it to Xianjizi. He asked, "Brother, who hurt you?" 2 days ago, I went to exchange for cultivation resources, and met an inner disciple named Nalanda. He saw that I had a lot of sect points and asked for them. If he couldn't get it, he would immediately snatch it. In the end, I wasn't strong enough and the sect points in my identity jade token were taken away. Xianjizi coughed up a mouthful of blood and began to recount the events of that day. Although the status of the outer sect disciples isn't high, they were beaten up for no reason, and even had their sect spot snatched away in public. Does no one care about this matter? When Night Sorrow, Yuan Tianji, and Lu Qingyuan were drinking, they already knew that the Tianyan school had dozens of monarch god-level law enforcement elders. They were distributed in various areas of the sect, and would immediately appear if there was a fight within the sect. At that time, an elder appeared, but when he saw that the attacker was Nalanda, he only said one sentence: "Don't kill anyone." Xianjizi took the divine soul recovery pill, and immediately recovered a lot. He continued, "I heard from the onlookers that Nalanda has a sister who is a divine king seed. The law enforcement elders that appeared didn't dare to offend that person." Nalanda? Could his sister be called Nalan Shuang? Hearing Xianjizi mention this, Night Sorrow immediately thought of Nalan Shuang, who climbed the sky cloud ladder. At that time, she had reached a height of more than 60,000 feet. She was indeed very strong. "I think that's the name." Xianjizi thought for a moment and nodded. "Brother, recover a bit. I'll take you back to your sect spot later. How many sect points have we been robbed?" There were more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. Night Sorrow knew that Xianjizi must have obtained a lot of sect points. Xianjizi replied, "There are a total of 40,000 sect points. The one trapped outside is one of the top 10 experts in the outer sect. He alone contributed 30,000 points. More than 40,000 points. No wonder it would arouse Nalanda's greed. Night Sorrow said in a low voice, then looked at Xianjizi and asked, Brother, can you find Nalanda's residence? This I really don't know. Xianjizi had just entered the sect, so how could he know this? I'll just go to the inner sect to see Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. They should be core disciples now. Night Sorrow knew that the core disciples of Tianyan School had a higher status than the inner sect disciples, but they didn't have the privileges of a divine king seed. When Xianjizi had almost recovered, he took him to the inner sect to look for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. With the vice sect master's token, he didn't encounter any obstruction. After searching for half a day, the two of them met one of Si Kongxiang's servants. This servant had seen Night Sorrow in Si Kongxiang's spatial artifact. He recognized him and brought him to the courtyard where Si Kongxiang was. Brother Night Moon, you're here. I've encountered some trouble recently, so I didn't go to see you. Please forgive me. Si Kongxiang was very happy to see Night Sorrow, but there was something on his face. Night Sorrow could see that he had something on his mind and asked, Brother Sikong, what trouble have you encountered? Tell me and see if I can help you. Si Kongxiang sighed and said, It's like this. My cousin's name is Sikong Qianxue. She is the divine king seed of Tianyan School. She has a love rival called Nalan Shuang. That Nalan Shuang has a younger brother in the inner sect called Nalanda. My cousin asked me to find a way to beat him up. But he is on the divine list, and I am only an invincible feather god. I am not his opponent at all. A person on the divine list, so he is also a core disciple? Night Sorrow originally came here to find Nalanda. Hearing Si Kongxiang talk about this matter, he immediately became interested. He was prepared to find out more about this Nalanda. He is a person on the divine list, but it seems that he is only ranked in the 80s. He reached the height of 24,000 on the heaven cloud ladder, and was not promoted to a core disciple. Si Kongxiang explained and said helplessly, Although he is not a core disciple, that kind of strength is not something we can deal with. I can deal with him, but it is not suitable for me to expose my identity at the moment. Let's think of a way to beat him up. Night Sorrow did not care about Nalanda's strength at all. However, according to Yuan Tianji and Lu Qingyuan, it was best for him to keep a low profile before the 7-sect tournament, and not expose his true identity. The best choice was to secretly make a move. Brother Yi, are you kidding? You said you can deal with Nalanda? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Si Kongxiang looked at him in disbelief. After all, he only showed the aura of the feather god realm. I am 100% confident. Night Sorrow felt that it was not a big deal to show his strength in front of Si Kongxiang, so he immediately released a powerful divine domain. Under the suppression of his divine domain, Si Kongxiang even felt that it was difficult to breathe. Immediately his expression changed and he exclaimed, Brother Yi, your strength is so amazing. Could you be the legendary Night Sorrow? It is me. However, it is not convenient to disclose it now. Please keep it a secret, Brother Sikong. Night Sorrow said and continued, My friend, a few days ago, Nalanda snatched the sect's spot. I just want to deal with him. With Brother Night Sorrow's help, it will be easy to deal with Nalanda. Si Kongxiang whispered. Actually, I have recently studied Nalanda's habits thoroughly. He has a special hobby. Every half a month, he will leave the heavenly cloud mountain, and have a tryst with a widow at the foot of the mountain. We will beat him up in the temple, where they have their tryst. Okay. Chapter 2566. Brother Yi, are you hiding your identity because the upper echelons of the sect wanted you to? Do they want you to make a name for yourself in the 7-sect tournament? After studying this matter, Si Kongxiang asked curiously. He and Mei Ruoxue joined the Tianyan School at this time. It was obvious that they had plans for the 7-sect tournament. The two of them had backers in the Tianyan School, so they knew more about the 7-sect tournament than Night Sorrow. They knew that the 7-sect tournament's rewards were very generous. It's because of this consideration. Night Sorrow nodded and admitted. With Brother Ye's help, the Tianyan School will definitely shine in the Feather God group this time. However, our Tianyan School doesn't have any experts in the High God realm. The highest-ranking person is only ranked 11th on the high god list. It would be embarrassing if they went. Si Kongxiang already knew some things about the Tianyin school before he joined the sect. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "No one can be sure about these things. What if a high god expert appears in the sect?" "Maybe." Si Kongxiang nodded and stared at Night Sorrow. "Brother Yi, I want to ask you for a favor." "What is it?" Night Sorrow asked. "I want to ask you to be my brother-in-law. You don't know, but my sister Sikong Qianxue has been bewitched by that pretty boy Mu Baiyu. I think there's something wrong with that Mu Baiyu. He seems to know some sorcery," Si Kongxiang said unhappily. "I'm afraid I can't help you with this matter." Night Sorrow was speechless. He thought for a moment and asked, "Isn't Mu Baiyu the #1 genius in the Tianyin school? Logically speaking, he doesn't need to know sorcery to make many female disciples fall for him, right? He definitely knows sorcery. Otherwise, why would Mei Ruoxue lose her appetite after seeing him?" When this matter was brought up, Si Kongxiang, who was Mei Ruoxue's childhood friend, was rather unhappy. Maybe his demeanor is indeed outstanding. Night Sorrow sighed and said, "Brother Sikong, when are we leaving?" He was already itching to take care of Nailinda and avenge Xianjizi. "It's fine if we leave immediately. We can go to the city at the foot of the mountain to relax. I'll let my sister know and we'll leave. Wait for me here." After Si Kongxiang finished speaking, he ran to Sikong Qianxue's mountain peak. After informing her, he came back and went down the mountain with Night Sorrow. There were still a few days before Nailinda's rendezvous in the ruined temple. The two of them strolled around the city at the foot of the mountain for a few days. Night Sorrow bought some female cultivator supplies for his wife and daughter that were not available in the lower realm. Si Kongxiang carefully chose a gift for Mei Ruoxue. After purchasing the things, Si Kongxiang suggested, "Calculating it, it's about time. Let's go to that ruined temple in advance and wait." They always choose that place for their rendezvous. "Okay, let's go, let's ambush there. I'll set up a concealment array when the time comes." Night Sorrow responded and followed behind Si Kongxiang, flying to the ruined temple he mentioned. The ruined temple was on a barren mountain. There were few people here. If Si Kongxiang hadn't specifically investigated Nailinda, he definitely wouldn't have found any clues. Walking into the ruined temple, Night Sorrow observed for a while and set up an exquisite concealment array in a corner. "Did you send someone to check the identity of that widow?" Night Sorrow asked while waiting for Nailinda to arrive. "I only found out that she's a widow in the city. I didn't find anything else," Si Kongxiang said truthfully. His target was Nailinda, not that widow. Naturally, he wouldn't investigate in detail. Then let's wait in peace." Night Sorrow sat cross-legged on the ground, waiting for Nailinda to arrive. After waiting for about 3 days, a sound came from outside the ruined temple. Then, a beautiful woman in a light yellow gauze dress slowly walked into the ruined temple. After entering the ruined temple, she vigilantly scanned her surroundings. Then, she used the power of her divine sense to investigate her surroundings. When she didn't find anything amiss, she took out a large bed covered in white tiger skin from her spatial artifact and lay down on it to rest. Baby, I'm here." Not long after, Nailinda, who was burning with anxiety, ran in from outside. Seeing the woman on the tiger skin bed, he took off his clothes and threw himself on the bed, stripping her naked. After being intimate for a while, Nailinda wanted to take his spear and go to battle. At this time, the beautiful woman said, "Wait, did you bring the thing I wanted?" I brought it. This is a letter from Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun." Nailinda, who was in a hurry, took out an envelope from his spatial artifact and handed it to the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman under him took it and looked at it. Then she nodded her head in satisfaction. She said charmingly, "Come." Nailinda, who had long been unable to hold back, immediately began to move. Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun's letter. Could there be a conspiracy in it? Si Kongxiang transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow in the concealment array. "I heard from Deputy Sect Leader Yuan that there might be a spy in Tianyin school. Now it seems that Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun is the spy." Night Sorrow frowned and said, "They use such primitive means to communicate with each other. There must be a secret that can't be revealed. Then what should we do? Kill them and read the contents of the letter? Si Kongxiang, who was already eager to try, looked at the constantly moving Nalanda and said, "If not for this unexpected discovery, we could have beaten Nalanda up right now. But after discovering this matter, we need to stay put to avoid alerting the enemy. After they leave, we will report to Deputy Sect Leader Yuan. If Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun colludes with outsiders, it will be a big blow to Tianyan School." Originally, Knight Sorrow just wanted to beat Nalanda up and vent his anger for Xianjizi. He didn't expect to accidentally stumble upon such a secret. He didn't want to alert the enemy, so he signaled Si Kongxiang to stay put. He took out an image stone and recorded the scene in front of him. "Brother Yi, you have this kind of hobby? You like to record other people doing it." Si Kongxiang was immediately surprised when he saw Knight Sorrow's actions. "Record what? Words are useless. We naturally need to record evidence." Unfortunately, when they mentioned Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun, they didn't start recording. Knight Sorrow explained and continued recording. After Nalanda finished and left with the beautiful woman, he and Si Kongxiang left the barren mountain. After returning to Tianyan School, Knight Sorrow immediately took Si Kongxiang to see Yuan Tianji. After seeing Yuan Tianji, Knight Sorrow and Si Kongxiang told him what they had just seen. What? Ho Jun actually asked Nalanda to deliver a letter for him to contact the people outside the sect. "Give this king the image stone you recorded." Yuan Tianji took the image stone from Knight Sorrow's hand and looked at it. "This woman seems to be from Soaring Heaven sect. Ho Jun contacting her, I don't know what he's planning. Could it be that he wants to attack Tianyan School from the inside?" Knight Sorrow analyzed. "No. They wouldn't dare." Chapter 2567. The Seven Sect Great Tournament is likely to be an ambush, right? Their intention is to cut off Tianyan School's future talents? Knight Sorrow guessed. He hadn't been in the sect for long, but he could more or less guess. If a sect's Feather God grade and High God grade geniuses were all killed, the blow to their future would be fatal. Not only that, the one they want to deal with the most is probably Elder Qing Yuan. Yuan Tianji said angrily, "Elder Qing Yuan is an important figure in our camp, and is this king's right-hand man. He will be leading the Seven Sect Great Tournament, so Ho Jun probably wants to use this opportunity to get rid of him." If Ho Jun only wanted to compete for the position of Sect Master, Yuan Tianji wouldn't be so angry, but he was likely colluding with Soaring Heaven sect, which was the most shameful act. If the other side cooperates with us and sends out enough masters, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to resist. Lu Qingyuan's face was a little gloomy. If Knight Sorrow hadn't found some clues, he might have died 2 years later. To put it bluntly, this time he had borrowed Knight Sorrow's luck, but what about the next time? If he was targeted again and again, he would fall for it sooner or later. Since they have made a move, it must be like a lion going all out to catch a rabbit. Yuan Tianji admitted that this matter was tricky. He pondered for a while and said, "But we already know about this matter. Not only do we have to solve this crisis, but we also have to give them a heavy blow. We have to record the entire process with a video crystal and publicize Ho Jun's scandalous deeds. Vice Sect Master, if we get rid of Ho Jun's forces, but the sect's vitality will be greatly damaged. Won't other sects covet it?" Lu Qingyuan asked worriedly. He had deep feelings for Tianyan School and didn't want the sect to completely decline. "We will be coveted and may be attacked in a probing manner, but if they want to seize the foundation of my Tianyan School, they won't dare." Yuan Tianji responded confidently. Looking at Knight Sorrow and Si Kongxiang, he said, "You have to have confidence in the future of the sect. At the moment of life and death, our sect will erupt with a powerful foundation. Disciple also has confidence in the future of the sect. Disciple knows what the sect's foundation is." Si Kongxiang looked at Knight Sorrow and said with a smile, "Now the sect not only has a foundation, but also Knight Sorrow, so it will definitely rise. Us Feather Gods won't have much of an impact on this battle. If we want to rise up in the future, we have to give them a good beating." While Yi Sec's strength sects, Tianyan Sec's forces is sect. If Night Sorrow broke through to the high god realm, he would undoubtedly be able to compete with most of the divine monarchs, but Tianyun school was determined to win first place in the great competition. So after thinking about it, Yuan Tianji felt that he could only focus on spirit arrays and pills. He had already determined that Ho Jun and Soaring Heaven sect would act, so preparing some pills that could instantly restore divine qi or heal injuries would have a great impact on the battle. If he could take advantage of the terrain and arrange a spirit array that could affect the enemy's combat strength, it would be even more perfect. Night Sorrow is right. This time, this king will make them suffer. Wait for this king here for a while. Yuan Tianji said before leaving for a while, returning with a jade token in his hand. He handed the jade token to Night Sorrow and said, "This is the Seed Disciple Identity Jade token that this king personally refined for you. Wear it and you will be a Seed Disciple from now on." But Night Sorrow has yet to make any significant contributions to the sect. Yet the Vice Sect Master directly promoted Night Sorrow to a Divine King Seed. Won't this cause you trouble? Looking at the jade token, Night Sorrow did not take it with his hand, fearing that it would cause trouble for the other party. There's no trouble. Tianyun School's sect master can recommend 2 people to become Divine King Seeds in his lifetime. The 2 vice sect masters each have 1 opportunity. This king will use this opportunity on you, Yuan Tianji explained. Night Sorrow, quickly accept it. You are worthy of becoming the first Divine King Seed in the history of the sect. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Accept it, Night Sorrow. As long as this king is in Tianyun School will do its best to cultivate you. Yuan Tianji's face showed a trace of expectation. Alright, then I'll accept it. Night Sorrow will not let the 2 of you and the entire Tianyun School down. Since he had already decided to join the Tianyun School, Night Sorrow no longer hesitated. He took the jade token and cupped his hands. Haha, it's really different from the jade token of a core disciple. Seeing the Divine King Seed Identity Jade token in Night Sorrow's hand, Si Kongxiang said with envy. The Divine King Seed Identity Jade token was not only different from the core disciple token in terms of material and appearance, but it also represented a different meaning. If Night Sorrow wore the jade token outside, the outer and inner disciples would have to salute him when they met. Cultivate well. You have a bright future as well. Strive to reach Qianshua's level as soon as possible. The outstanding disciples of the Sikong family were all sent to Tianyun School. Yuan Tianji was very familiar with Si Kongxiang and encouraged him with a smile. Vice Sect Master. Si Kongxiang always felt that Sister Qianshua's infatuation with Mu Baiyu was a little abnormal. Do you think that Mu Baiyu cultivated some kind of evil technique? Si Kongxiang said with a look of displeasure. In the past, Sikong Qianshua was immersed in cultivation. Now her entire heart was tied to Mu Baiyu. This made him feel very strange. Haha. A person is like a rainbow. You will only know when you meet her. When you meet a woman that you truly like, you won't say that about Qianshua. Yuan Tianji smiled and said, Mu Baiyu's excellence is enough to crush an entire generation. It's normal for Qianshua to be moved by him. Could it be that I'm only Ruoshua's childhood friend, and that I don't really like her? Si Kongxiang muttered and did not continue the conversation. At this time, Night Sorrow suddenly thought of something and said, That's right, Vice Sect Master, Elder Lu. A few days ago, Soaring Heaven Sect sent a divine monarch called Qing Yangzi to recruit me. At that time, he raised a divine monarch-level demon in his divine artifact. I suspect that Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon. What? Otherworldly demon? Are you sure it's an otherworldly demon? Hearing this, a trace of shock appeared on Yuan Tianji's face. To the cultivators of the God realm, otherworldly demons were too evil and terrifying. I'm 90% sure that it's an otherworldly demon, Night Sorrow said with certainty. Whether it's the ethereal mountain range or the dark forest, they are all forbidden areas of the God realm. Even a ruler would find it difficult to come out after entering. The fact that Qing Yangzi has an otherworldly demon is enough to explain the problem. Yuan Tianji said worriedly. Otherworldly demons are evil by nature. They won't give up on destroying the God realm. If Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon, It's very likely that they don't care about the consequences of their actions against my Tianyan school. It seems that we need to make more preparations than expected. Yes, if an otherworldly demon infiltrates, the situation will be completely different. Lu Qingyuan's expression was equally serious. He suggested, should we send someone to follow Nalanda? No, he's just a pawn to deliver a message. We don't need to follow him. It's better to believe in this matter than not. Whether it's on the way there or when we return, we just need to be prepared for battle. Chapter 2568. After leaving Yuan Tianji's mountain, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang sent Xian Jizi back to the outer sect. After discovering that Ho Jun might be colluding with Soaring Heaven sect, they decided not to touch Nalanda for the time being. They didn't want to alert the enemy. After that, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang visited Mei Ruoxue and several other disciples who had entered the sect at the same time. Everyone gathered together and drank. Si Kongxiang didn't reveal that Night Sorrow was already a divine king's seed. Everyone thought that he was just an ordinary outer sect disciple, and got along well with him. However, it could be seen that the others were more afraid of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, two core disciples. After this day, Night Sorrow returned to the bamboo forest that Yuan Tianji had arranged for him. He stayed with his family for 3 days. He entered the Clear Heaven Pagoda and studied the spirit array inside. He studied the spirit array of Zhen Yuan Divine Lord and Long Tianqing, combined with the Divine Essence Dragon Locking Array, and spent 180 years to master it. After that, he tried to integrate the power of virtue into it. This was naturally to deal with the extraterrestrial demon. Let's call it the 33 Heavens Merit Array. After thoroughly studying the spirit array, Night Sorrow gave it a name, and then went to find Lu Qingyuan, wanting him to test the effect of the spirit array. After seeing Lu Qingyuan, Night Sorrow found that his face was very ugly. So he asked, Elder Lu, what's wrong? After you went into seclusion for a year, the elders of Heavenly Martial Pavilion brought their disciples to our Tianyan school. Their Heavenly Martial Pavilion had Yin Jifei, ranked 3rd on the Feather God list, who injured all 5 of our sect's chosen feather gods. They were so arrogant. Lu Qingyuan clenched his fists in anger and said, they didn't stop after injuring a few feather gods. They even mocked our Tianyan school's high gods, saying that they were all idiots. They have Mengdu, who is ranked 4th on the high gods list. Our high gods are no match for them, and can only hold their anger. Are they still here? Night Sorrow asked. He wanted to avenge Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. The other party was a bully, and they even dared to bully their own sect. This was too much. He didn't leave. He said he would leave with us. Lu Qingyuan explained and then tried to persuade him. Night Sorrow, you are my sect's trump card. Don't be rash. It won't be too late to teach them a lesson after the 7-sect grand competition. Good. Just bear with it for a while longer. When do we leave? How are the arrangements for the vice-sect leader? Night Sorrow asked. The trip to the 7-sects grand competition would not be a smooth one. Thus he had to clarify some things. I should have left 3 months ago, but I've been waiting for you. In addition, the vice-sect leader had already made all the necessary arrangements. This time, we are mobilizing a Divine King level Grand Elder, 5 half-step Divine Kings, and 20 Divine Monarchs. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yishang. This doesn't include the 10 Divine Lord level Enforcement Elders on the surface. They are all in my spatial artifact. So many experts? Even the Divine King has been mobilized? Night Sorrow was very surprised to hear that so many experts were mobilized at once. In addition, if there was a Divine King to fight, he was worried that his array formation level was still too low. Just in case. This is one of the trump cards of my Tianyan school, but there are even stronger ones. Lu Qingyuan said proudly. Although the Tianyan school did not have any sovereigns, the Divine King's numbers were not inferior to the other sovereigns. However, these Divine King were usually cultivating in seclusion, and did not show up at all. At this moment, Night Sorrow asked, Elder Lu, are all the people in your spatial artifact reliable? I want to test an array formation. Of course. They are all the mainstays of our side. Some of them have never shown their faces. Lu Qingyuan promised. Okay. Elder Lu, come with me to test the array. Knight Sorrow then invited Lu Qingyuan into the Triastrimsa virtuous array he had set up. What array is this? It's mixed with virtuous power and reincarnation power? It looks ordinary, but it can weaken my strength. Lu Qingyuan tried all kinds of methods to break the array formation, but none succeeded. He also felt that his strength had been greatly weakened. He could not help but praise the array's wonders. To be able to set up such a wondrous array formation at the Divine Wing realm, this Knight Sorrow that you and the vice sect leader recommended, is indeed 10 talents. The Divine King Zhuangqing, who was hidden in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, could not help but praise. Although the array formation that Knight Sorrow had set up had no effect on the Divine King, it could affect a half-step Divine King. This was already very impressive. Of course, Knight Sorrow is a peerless genius who has the potential to dominate the world. Elder Zhuang, just wait for him to shine. Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in the spatial artifact. There was a hint of pride in his voice. After all, he was the one who had seen through Knight Sorrow's identity when he joined the Tianyan school. Otherwise, Knight Sorrow might still be cultivating in a low-key manner. Haha, I will wait and see. The Divine King Zhuangqing smiled amiably. Elder Lu, give me a day. I will say goodbye to my family, and then we will go to the location of the 7-sect tournament together. At this moment, Knight Sorrow spoke. In fact, he was a little embarrassed that he had delayed the trip. Okay, go ahead. Lu Qingyuan did not blame Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow went back to say goodbye to his family, and met Yuan Tianji. Then he and Lu Qingyuan met up with the prodigies participating in the tournament. The members of the Tianyan school participating in the 7-sect tournament had already been selected. The Feather God group included Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the Feather God list, Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th, Yun Tingfei, who was ranked 30th, and Yan Zheng, who was not on the Feather God list but was stronger than Si Kongxiang. Although Yun Tingfei's ranking was not low, he had already been confirmed as Knight Sorrow's substitute. The other 4, including Knight Sorrow and the Tianyan school, were quite strong. The God group included Mu Qingyu, who was ranked 11th on the Feather God list, Liang He, who was ranked 21st, Yan Fangfei, who was ranked 29th, Zhou Qian, who was ranked 51st, and Nalanda, who was ranked 84th. The God group's ranking did not seem that shameful, but the 5 of them had participated in the last tournament and were ranked last. In addition to these participants, the Tianyan school sent out a total of 10 law enforcement elders to protect them. The law enforcement elder, Lu Qingyuan, was responsible for leading the team. After everyone had gathered, many people paid attention to Knight Sorrow. They did not know what identity he had used to sneak in. After everyone boarded the heavenly cloud shuttle of the Tianyan school, Nalanda was instructed by Mu Qingyu. He pointed at Knight Sorrow and asked Lu Qingyuan, Elder Lu, who is that guy? Why is he going to the 7-sect tournament with us? Oh, he is the nephew of Deputy Suzerain Yuan. He is my substitute for Tianyan school. His main purpose is to come out and see the world. Lu Qingyuan was very unhappy with Nalanda, but he still held back and made up an identity for Knight Sorrow. I see, so he is a backdoor entrant. Chapter 2569. Looking at Nalanda's appearance, Yishan really wanted to beat him up. However, under Lu Qingyuan's voice transmission he restrained himself. Hearing that Knight Sorrow had gotten in because of his connections, other than Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, the rest of the contestants looked at him with disdain. Nalanda, in particular, walked over to Yishan and mocked him a few times. Is everyone ready? If you are, we will set off for Tianxian school. Lu Qingyuan knew that Knight Sorrow would shine on the day of the grand competition, so he didn't care about these trivial matters. We are ready. The 10 Divine Lord Law Enforcement Elders and the 10 geniuses participating in the grand competition immediately responded. Only Yishang stood on the heavenly cloud shuttle that was gradually rising into the air, and looked at the mountain where his family was. Come back, it's time to go. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yishan. Then he looked at the crowd and said, This trip will take some time. Everyone can return to their rooms to adjust. People die in every grand competition of the 7 sects. I hope that all of us can come back this time. We will fight with all our strength and defend the glory of Tianyan School. The few people who had participated in the last grand competition immediately roared out. Last time, the Feather God group and the Deity group had both come in last place. They were all angry. Although the Deity group didn't change much this time, the Feather God group had a few new members. This gave some people hope. Ha ha ha. Even if you trash fight with all your strength, you will only be last place. I think you have forgotten the pain from a few days ago. At that moment, a burst of arrogant laughter drifted over from afar. Then the contestants from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, led by Yan Jifei, who was ranked 3rd on the Feather God list, flew to Tianyan School's Skycloud shuttle. As for the Deity group, they didn't even come. Yan Jifei, you are too arrogant. Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the God of Feathers list, shouted angrily. Loser, I'm not here for you. I want to challenge Nalanda, who is ranked 84th on the Divine list. It was said that there was a Feather God called Night Sorrow, who defeated an expert on the Divine list, and became a master on both lists. Today, Yan Jifei will have a taste of what it's like to be on 2 lists. Yan Jifei stared at Nalanda with contempt on his face. I still need to prepare for the 7 sects tournament. I won't accept your challenge. In the face of Yan Jifei's challenge, Nalanda immediately cowered. His tone was obviously timid. Hehe, if you don't accept the challenge, what does that count as? Is this considered admitting defeat and giving me the 84th position on the High God list? Nalanda's cowardice made Yan Jifei's face even more proud. He laughed arrogantly and said, Haha, you Tianyan School students. Sure enough, after Mu Baiyu, it completely collapsed. It's all mud that can't be supported. Yan Jifei, pay attention to your words. This is my Tianyan School's place. You, a Feather God, can't be presumptuous. Yan Jifei didn't put the people present in his eyes. Lu Qingyuan immediately rebuked him. Elder Lu, am I wrong? Look at your Tianyan School. What kind of trash are you? You're not strong enough. Don't tell me you won't let people talk about it. Yan Jifei's face had a provocative smile. He knew that Lu Qingyuan, a monarch god, wouldn't make a move against him. You presumptuous. Lu Qingyuan's anger had completely exploded, but he still endured. People with strength naturally have the capital to be presumptuous. Elder Lu, you don't want Nalanda to fight. Are you afraid that he will be injured and can't participate in the tournament? I will be merciful so you don't have to stop me. Yan Jifei chattered on. Qingyuan, let Night Sorrow cripple him. My Tianyan School's face is not something that anyone can slap. My Tianyan School's face in the 7 sect tournament must be fought for. We can't lose our face at this moment. At this moment, the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, angrily transmitted his voice. When the old man heard a junior continuously humiliating the Tianyan School, he was so angry that his fingers were trembling. Yes, Zhuangqing. Lu Qingyuan didn't have the courage to let Night Sorrow fight directly, because he was afraid of exposing his target. But at this moment, with Zhuangqing's words, he immediately became spirited. He looked at Yan Jifei with disdain and said, I'm afraid that you will be injured and can't participate in the tournament. Your Heavenly Martial Pavilion will fight with me. Haha, did I hear wrongly? Hearing this, Yan Jifei laughed arrogantly. Even the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, Meng Yi, flew to the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle and said with a smile, when cultivators compete, injuries and even death is karma. If Jifei is killed or injured by Nalanda, my Heavenly Martial Pavilion won't care. Let the Divine King bully the Feather God? My Tianyan School won't do such a shameful thing. In the face of the other party's provocation, Lu Qingyuan raised his eyebrows and said, if you want to compete, then both sides will send out the Feather God. Oh, Feather God? Haven't your Tianyan School's Feather God been taught a lesson? Meng Yi glanced at the Tianyan School's Feather God and asked disdainfully. My Tianyan School's cultivators may not be the most talented in the 7 sects, but in terms of tenacity, they are definitely the best. If you want to compete, we will accompany you. Lu Qingyuan replied firmly and continued. Since it's a competition, why don't we add some stakes? Oh, what do you want to use as a stake? Meng Yi asked with a smile. He was sure that he would win, otherwise he wouldn't be so provocative. If I lose, I will give you the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. What do you think? This Heavenly Cloud Shuttle is the highest grade in my Tianyan school. It's a king-grade artifact. Lu Qingyuan was also sure that he would win, so he said the stakes of the king-grade artifact. Oh, this king-grade Heavenly Cloud Shuttle is the face of your Tianyan school. Are you willing to bet on it? Meng Yi said with a look of disbelief when he heard Lu Qingyuan's words. He couldn't believe his ears. Since it's a competition, let's make it big. What's the point of a small fight? Lu Qingyuan was ready to let Night Sorrow make a move. His aura had completely exploded. Okay, this elder will accept your wager. Meng Yi smiled and said, if I lose to you, I will give my king-grade artifact Heavenly Martial Soul Spear to you, Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Good. Then it's a deal. Lu Qingyuan smiled. He had a card up his sleeve. At this time Yin Jifei coughed and said, Two elders, you are betting so big. Even if you give it to me, I don't dare to accept it. I also want to bet something else. Can I? What do you want to bet? My Tianyan school will accept it. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. I want to bet on her. If I win, she will give me Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Yin Jifei pointed at Mei Ruoxue with an evil smile on his face. Okay, let's bet. But to be fair, if you lose, Elder Yin Fengling, how about you become my concubine? Lu Qingyuan pointed at a female cultivator in the distance. This female cultivator was an elder of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. She was ranked 3rd in the Heavenly Feather group and 4th in the Deity group. She was a very famous beauty in the 7 sections. Moreover, she was Yin Jifei's aunt. Lu Qingyuan's nephew was so shameless. As his aunt, she did not know how to educate him. She deserved to be implicated. Lu Qingyuan, what did you say? Hearing that Lu Qingyuan wanted to use his aunt as a stake, Yin Jifei immediately became angry. He did not even call him Elder Lu. What? Only your Heavenly Martial Pavilion can have ideas about my Tianyan school's female disciple? Yin Jifei, if you provoke me again, I don't mind killing you. Being called by his full name by a feather god, Lu Qingyuan's temper was not good. Chapter 2570. Alright, Auntie, I'll definitely help you vent your anger. Yin Jifei's eyebrows showed a strong desire to fight after he got the approval of his aunt, Yin Fengling. He provoked. Which one of you isn't afraid of death? How dare you fight me? Yin Jifei's aura was so strong that Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th in the Tianyan school, immediately transmitted his voice to Lu Qingyuan. He said in surprise, Elder Lu, I'm not Yin Jifei's opponent. Why did you make such a bet? Isn't this the same as giving away an Emperor-grade divine artifact? I don't need you. Lu Qingyuan glanced at Ho Qingshan and cursed him inwardly. He comforted Mei Ruoxue, who was transmitting her voice to him. Ruoxue, do you think Elder is a lunatic? Trust me, we'll definitely win. Even if the ruler returns to the Divine Feather Realm, he won't be our match. When Mei Ruoxue heard that she was the wager, and that Lu Qingyuan had agreed to the wager, she immediately rejected it. Elder, you're not being controlled by the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, are you? Lu Qingyuan's explanation made Mei Ruoxue feel that he was really crazy. Ruoxue, you can't screw up. We have the Divine Feather Stairway to Heaven result, which is 31,220 steps. This is an unprecedented result. When Mu Baiyu was in the Divine Feather Realm, the highest record was 27,000 steps. Lu Qingyuan continued to transmit his voice. Mei Ruoxue felt that this was a fantasy. She immediately doubted. Impossible, it's impossible to be more outstanding than senior brother Baiyu. Mu Baiyu was like a god in her heart, a man who walked out of a legend. She didn't believe that there was someone more outstanding than him. Sigh. I don't think I can persuade you. Wait, I'll let Si Kongxiang talk to you. Seeing that Yin Fengling was about to win, how could Lu Qingyuan let Mei Ruoxue ruin the good thing? He immediately transmitted a message to Si Kongxiang. Persuade Ruoxue and get her to agree to the bet. Night Sorrow is certain to win. At that time, his result of climbing the stairway to heaven was 31,220 steps. He's even stronger than Mu Baiyu at the same time. It's impossible for him to lose to Yan Jifei. Good. I will explain it to Ruoxue with my life. Si Kongxiang knew about Night Sorrow. When he heard Lu Qingyuan's words, he immediately felt more confident. He hurriedly tried to persuade Mei Ruoxue, but Mei Ruoxue still refused. What should we do? Are we going to let Yan Fengling fly away just like that? If Mei Ruoxue did not agree, then he could only use the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle as a wager for the Emperor-grade divine artifact, the Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had been lonely for countless years, be willing to accept this? He transmitted a message to Night Sorrow. Mei Ruoxue doesn't agree to be the wager. How can I persuade her? Elder Lu, don't worry. Night Sorrow will definitely help you win the concubine today. Night Sorrow, who was standing at the side, slowly walked to Mei Ruoxue's side. He gave her an image crystal and transmitted a message. This was recorded when I was climbing the stairway to heaven. You can take a look at my result. Your result is around 10,000 steps. I remember it clearly. Now that Night Sorrow came to persuade her, and he, an outer disciple, seemed to have an invincible aura, Mei Ruoxue was even angrier. She felt that Lu Qingyuan, Si Kongxiang, and Night Moon were all crazy today. Take a look carefully, and then consider whether you want to agree or not. Also, although this is a wager that you can't lose, we won't let you be the wager for nothing. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her calmly. Night Moon, what's wrong with you today? Normally, you're not someone who likes to pester endlessly. Night Sorrow spoke with the demeanor of a big shot, as if he was treating himself as an important person in Tianyan school. Coupled with the outer disciple uniform he was wearing, he looked a little funny. This is my identity jade token. Take a look before you speak. Night Sorrow wrapped the jade token with his god essence energy, and handed it to Mei Ruoxue for her to take a look before making a decision. What? This is the Divine King's Seed Identity Jade Token. How did you get it? Mei Ruoxue, who was extremely impatient after being persuaded, was shocked when she saw the Divine King's Seed Identity Jade Token. Her family had elders in Tianyan school. Naturally, she knew that the Divine King's Seed Identity Jade Token couldn't be faked. Now that Night Sorrow, a feather god, was the Divine King's seed, she felt a little dizzy. Of course it was won by talent. Go and take a look at the image crystal. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her. He knew that it was very impolite to use her as a wager. However, the people from Heavenly Martial Pavilion were too arrogant. It wasn't enough that Heavenly Martial Pavilion injured all their feather gods in Tianyan school. They continued to provoke them on the road. This was definitely taking advantage of their dignity and continuously picking on honest people. As a member of Tianyan school, he had to earn back his dignity. At this time, Yan Jifei, who was challenging them, saw that no one from Tianyan school was responding. He immediately provoked them even more arrogantly. Elder Lu, weren't you very arrogant just now? You even wanted to use my aunt as a wager. Why didn't anyone from Tianyan school come out and fight with me? Could it be that Elder Lu really wants to bully the weak? Nephew, take a break first. Let's discuss the countermeasures. It'll be done soon. Before Mei Ruoxue was settled, Lu Qingyuan smiled and replied to Yan Jifei. Lu Qingyuan, I think you're tired of living. Do you really think that I, Yan Fengling, won't dare to attack you in Tianyan school? Hearing Lu Qingyuan call Yan Jifei nephew, Yan Fengling immediately rebuked him. When she was the #1 person in Heavenly Martial Pavilion, and ranked 3rd in the Feather God group, Lu Qingyuan didn't even enter the top 10. He only ranked 14th. There was a certain gap in talent and strength between them. We'll be a family in the future. There's no need to fight. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Yan Fengling was the goddess of their generation. How could he, who had been lonely for tens of thousands of years, be calm when he finally had the chance to get close to her? Who's your family? You're courting death. Yan Fangling's face was completely lost after being teased. She immediately prepared to attack. At this time, Mei Ruoxue suddenly stepped forward and said, "Elder Yan, don't be angry. Since you and Ruoxue are both wagers, let's stand aside and watch the battle. It's Ruoxue's honor to be a wager with you." Night Sorrow's Jade Identity Tablet and the Stairway to Heaven result had already brought her endless shock. At this moment, she wouldn't be afraid even if she had to bet 10,000 times. Even when she opened her mouth to speak, she felt her body tremble. The Stairway to Heaven result of the Divine Feather Realm exceeded 30,000, surpassing the Sect Master and Mu Baiyu. It made her feel like she was in a dream. "Oh, it seems that you've already discussed it. In that case, Yan Fangling will wait and see. Let's see what kind of capital Tianyan School has to dare to have any ideas about me." Yan Fangling had just seen the Tianyan School's group doing Mei Ruoxue's work. Chapter 2571. Let's talk about who we'll send out later. At this time, Lu Qingyuan saw that the matter had been decided and immediately said, "Since the battle has been decided, let's make an oath to the heavens so that no one will go back on their word." Good. Our Heavenly Martial Pavilion is not afraid. The people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had been provoking the Tianyan School. Now that the Tianyan School had agreed to the battle, they were very happy to make an oath to the heavens. "I, the disciplinary elder of the Tianyan School, Lu Qingyuan, swear. I, the core disciple of the Tianyan School, Mei Ruoxue, swear." The Tianyan School was clear about Night Sorrow's strength, so the two of them did not make an oath to the heavens. At this time, Yin Jifei put on a fake smile and said, "Where are the people who will participate in the battle? Could it be that Ruoxue will fight personally? If you were the one on stage, I might really lose to your pomegranate skirt." "Don't call me Ruoxue. I'm not familiar with you. You're so arrogant. Just wait for your face to be slapped." Mei Ruoxue was teased by Yen Jifei, and her eyebrows were immediately covered with frost. "Okay, I'll wait for my face to be slapped. But where is the person who slaps my face? You Tianyan School delayed for so long. Is it just to show off? Don't forget that both sides have already made an oath to the heavens. It's impossible to go back on your word." Yen Jifei, who had completely unleashed his divine domain, sneered and continued to roar. "Don't shout, your opponent is me." At this time, Night Sorrow slowly walked in front of Yen Jifei and calmly replied, "You? The outer disciple of the Tianyan School? Haha, this is the biggest joke in the world. Don't tell me you think you're some peerless master, and you're wearing the outer disciple's uniform to hide your identity." Night Sorrow's aura did not leak out, so Yen Jifei could not feel how strong he was. He immediately hooted. "If you think so, I won't open my mouth to deny it." Yen Jifei had danced for so long that even Yishang's heart was filled with anger. He coldly replied, "That's right. You really think you're some big shot. Now let me see just how strong you are. You will soon understand that the third-ranked expert on the God of Feathers list is not to be trifled with." Yen Jifei roared as his god domain burst out completely. He was ranked third on the Feather God list, second only to Wu You of the Tianqing Gate and Shang Suyen of the Tianxian Gate. He was indeed very strong. But at this time Night Sorrow smiled and asked, "Since the third position can't be challenged, then what about the first and second positions?" "Scoundrel! You are courting death. Heavenly Martial Demon Fist." Yen Jifei, as the 1,000-year-old third, had always been suppressed by the first two. Being ridiculed like this, he immediately flew into a rage. Up until the moment he made his move, the arrogant him did not even ask for Night Sorrow's name. The people on the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle made space for them before Yen Jifei could make a move. In addition, the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle was made of king-grade materials. With the power of the Feather God, it would not be damaged at all. Lu Qingyuan did not say anything to stop him. "Be careful. This Heavenly Martial Demon Fist is one of Yen Jifei's killing moves. It is very powerful. It's obvious that he's really angry." Ho Qingshan, who had fought with Yen Jifei before, was very surprised that there was an outer disciple in the Tianjing sect. But because they were from the same sect, he still reminded him. A few days ago, he had been seriously injured by this move. Even now, he still had lingering fears. No matter. You are just a chicken and a dog. Hearing Ho Qingshan's reminder, Knight Sorrow responded and released his powerful god domain. Facing Yan Zhifei's powerful move, he chose to use his fist to respond. He did not use any of his moves at all. Your god domain is very strong. No wonder you have the confidence to fight with me. But if you don't use your moves, you are definitely courting death. Seeing that Knight Sorrow did not even use his moves, Yan Zhifei sneered in his heart. But soon Yan Zhifei's smile completely froze. Because after the two exchanged moves, he was directly thrown out of the heavenly cloud shuttle. What? How is this possible? When did the realm of the gods have such a powerful feather god? Yan Zhifei, who had been brimming with confidence, was sent flying thousands of miles away. Yan Zhifei was stunned. Zhifei, don't be distracted. We can't afford to lose this bet. Yan Zhifei was a little absent-minded. His aunt, Yan Fengling, immediately reminded him. Si Kongxiang, who had been suppressing himself, shouted. Good fight. What's going on? When did our Tianyun school have such a fierce character? The other disciples of the Tianyun clan were all dumbfounded. The strength that Yi Shang had displayed had already exceeded their understanding. Against Yan Zhifei, who was ranked third on the feather god list, he could easily send him flying. This was something they did not even dare to dream of. He is indeed very strong. Mei Ruoxue, who had been persuaded by all kinds of people to agree to the bet, had a complicated look in her eyes. Everyone present, including her, was undoubtedly a heaven's pride. But at this moment, the halo around them was undoubtedly shattered by Knight Sorrow's punch. Can't believe the fact in front of you. Or can't believe that someone from the Tianyun school can suppress you. Facing the obviously absent-minded Yan Zhifei, Knight Sorrow said coldly, when you humiliate others, you should be prepared to be humiliated. Use all your trump cards or you won't have a chance. I will kill you. Being sent flying in front of everyone, Yan Zhifei's face was burning. He felt that all the words he had said before the bet were all slaps to his own face. As he roared, he took out his divine weapon, the Starlight Sword, and used the Sword Realm to suppress Knight Sorrow. Then he merged with the sword and shot forward. This was his strongest move, and he would suffer a strong backlash if he used it. He had prepared it for Wu and Shang Suyan. He did not expect that he would be forced to use it before the Seven Sects tournament. This attack is very strong, but it's not enough for me to use my divine weapon. Facing Yan Zhifei's strongest attack, Knight Sorrow used the 33 Heavens battle secret technique, increasing his strength tenfold. Facing Yan Zhifei, he threw out another punch. He still did not use his secret technique. This time, the people from the Tianyun school did not say anything. They knew that Knight Sorrow must be aware of it. As for Yan Zhifei, he did not underestimate him. Boom. In an instant, the two collided. The void above the heavenly cloud shuttle was shattered by the collision of the two. Not long after, Yan Zhifei's figure appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, his Taoist robe was torn, and his body was covered with injuries. He looked very miserable as he flew in the void. What happened? Where is Knight Sorrow? Seeing that it was Yan Zhifei who appeared in front of everyone, Lu Qingyuan asked with a face full of astonishment. In his opinion, Knight Sorrow's strength was much higher than Yan Zhifei's. It was impossible for him to lose. Ha. Knight Sorrow? He is not my opponent, so he naturally died in the void. Yan Zhifei's whole body was injured, but his face was filled with madness as he roared arrogantly. Yan Zhifei, you used the invincible monarch god talisman to plot against me. This time, you are courting death. Chapter 2572. When the two of them were fighting, Yan Zhifei had used the momentum of their attacks to activate the invincible Divine Lord level talisman. If Yi Shang hadn't used the Divine Origin Dragon-locking formation to seal the Divine Talisman, greatly reducing its power, as well as the power of virtue and the Azure Phoenix armor, he might have been killed by this attack. After all, an invincible Divine Lord level talisman was too terrifying for a feather god. What? That didn't kill you? Yan Zhifei was shocked to see Knight Sorrow appear. If it had been any other feather god, They would have been instantly killed by the invincible Divine Lord-level talisman if they had not been prepared. He had never thought that Yi Xiang would survive. I won't die. You're the one who should die. At this moment, Night Sorrow's battle intent rose. He took out the Samsara halberd and used the Samsara strike. He had only wanted to defeat Yin Jifei, but now he wanted to kill him. Stop. We admit defeat. Night Sorrow's Samsara strike was so powerful that even an ordinary divine lord would find it hard to block it. Yin Jifei's aunt, Yen Fangling, immediately shouted, "Bastard! You still dare to attack after admitting defeat? Do you think the Heavenly Martial Pavilion has no one? Die, you brat!" After Yen Fangling shouted, Night Sorrow didn't stop. Meng Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, immediately attacked Night Sorrow. Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. Night Sorrow immediately used the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array to slow down the power of the half-step Divine King's attack. However, Meng Yi's attack was so powerful that he didn't slow it down much. Meng Yi, you're courting death. The Heavenly Martial Pavilion is so shameless. Seeing Meng Yi bullying the weak, Lu Qingyuan took out the Monarch-class divine artifact Flowing Cloud Ruler that God King Zhuangqing had lent him and slammed it out ruthlessly. A half-step godly king was actually involved in a gambling match between two feather gods. This was a shameless act. Boom. Meng Yi's strike was immediately sent flying by Lu Qingyuan's monarch-ranked divine artifact, Flowing Cloud Ruler. At the same time, Night Sorrow unleashed his Samsara strike. However, this attack did not hit Yin Jifei's body. At the critical moment, although Yen Fangling did not attack Night Sorrow, she used her body to block Samsara's attack. She did not use divine origin energy, relying on her body to receive the attack. Her injuries were extremely severe. How dare you hurt my aunt? I'll kill you. Seeing his aunt being blown away in front of his eyes, Yin Jifei's tears fell. However, even though he was shouting and yelling, he didn't make a move because he couldn't think of a way to defeat Night Sorrow. Nephew, rather than being humiliated, I would rather die like this. In the future, you must cultivate well and surpass everyone in the Yen family. Yen Fangling was obviously courting death. She didn't want to be Lu Qingyuan's concubine. Don't think that your actions are tragic. If it weren't for your shamelessness, my Tianyan school wouldn't have fought back like this. Seeing Yen Fangling's reaction, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "You won't die from this injury. I have a lot of healing pills here. Don't even think about killing yourself. Don't forget that you swore a heavenly oath in the name of your sect and family." However, he didn't continue to attack Yin Jifei. He wanted to see what the others had to say. Elder Yen. Seeing that Yen Fangling was injured, Meng Yi, who was fighting with Lu Qingyuan, suddenly had a gloomy look on his face. He wanted to go back on his oath to the heavens and fight with the Tianyun clan. Elder Meng Yi, don't be impulsive. A heavenly oath is not a child's play. Noticing Meng Yi's expression, the seriously injured Yen Fangling immediately tried to persuade him. But how can this elder watch as you are humiliated? Yin Jifei had obviously lost, and he had lost disgracefully. He had only survived because Yen Fangling had saved him. Meng Yi felt very aggrieved. If things continued like this, Yen Fangling and his heavenly martial soul spear would lose to the Tianyun school. That would be the greatest humiliation in the history of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. Hee, so when the Heavenly Martial Pavilion bullies others, you're all arrogant. When you're defeated, it's like you've been wronged. Let me ask you, my Tianyun school's Divine Feather Realm disciple defeated Yin Jifei with his own strength. What do you feel wronged about? Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, indicating that he shouldn't attack for the time being. Then he shouted loudly, "That's right, the Heavenly Martial Pavilion is too shameless. When you bully others, why don't you look so tragic?" Si Kongxiang shouted unhappily. No matter what, the Heavenly Martial Pavilion was not in the right at all. In the end, they looked tragic. It was Yin Jifei who first proposed to use a woman as a wager. Now that you've lost, do you want to die and not admit it? Is this how the Yin family teaches you? I think you're not far from death. Mei Ruoxue, who had been called out as a wager, scolded happily. When she was called out by Yin Jifei, she felt so humiliated that she even wanted to cry. After being scolded by the Tianyun school, the people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion became silent. They used to have some small grudges with the Tianyan school. Now, when the Tianyan school was sinking, they came to slap him in the face. Now they suffered a double loss. Although they felt wronged, they couldn't refute. What should we do? Aunt, what should we do? Yan Jifei, who was supporting Yan Fengling, had tears in his eyes. This time, he had lost the battle and lost his aunt. He couldn't accept this result at all. He was in a daze and didn't dare to face reality. Jifei, don't cry. Men don't cry easily. Cultivate well in the future. We've lost, and we're bound by the heavenly oath. We can only accept our loss. Yan Jifei had lost, and Yan Fengling had to become Lu Qingyuan's concubine. As a former prodigy, it was easy to imagine how depressed she felt. However, her boldness was obviously much stronger than Yan Jifei's. Biting her lips, she walked towards the Tianyun clan. Aunt. Looking at his aunt Yan Fengling walking away, Yan Jifei couldn't help but cry. What are you crying for? When you called out my name, you weren't like this. Now, do you understand how humiliating this is? Seeing Yan Jifei crying, Mei Ruoshua's face was full of disdain as she mocked him. This is the Sky Martial Soul Battle Spear. Lu Qingyuan, keep it safe. I'll take it back one day. Yan Fengling chose to accept her loss. Although Meng Yi was very reluctant, he still handed over the Sky Martial Soul Battle Spear. Night Sorrow, the Sky Martial Soul Battle Spear is your spoils of war. Go and take it. At this time, Lu Qingyuan's face revealed a smile. He took out a pill and handed it to Yan Fengling. Take it. It's good for your injuries. Humph. Lu Qingyuan, don't think that just because I lost to you, you can do whatever you want. Yan Fengling's face was very gloomy. She didn't take the pill. Good. Then you take your time to recuperate. We'll slowly get used to our future relationship. Lu Qingyuan laughed. What are you laughing at? She's just a woman and a spoil of war. Why are you weaker than her? Take her down and immediately consummate. Otherwise, I'll slap you to death. Chapter 2573. Grand Elder Zhuang, is this okay? I'm afraid of further intensifying the conflict between the two sects. After all, Soaring Heaven sect is still eyeing us. Hearing the Divine King Zhuang's message, Lu Qingyuan replied with some apprehension. His considerations were reasonable. Waste. My Tianyan school has too many wishy-washy wastes like you. That's why we're in such a weak position today. The Divine King Zhuang scolded in his space artifact and continued. My Tianyan school has been continuously targeted because every time we've been provoked, we haven't given enough response. This time, you must let Heavenly Martial Pavilion know how to write the word pain. Go, bring Yan Fengling into the inner cabin. Don't come out until you're read. Okay. Hearing these words, Lu Qingyuan was a little embarrassed, but he still nodded and prepared to bring Yan Fengling in. The Divine King Zhuang heard that Lu Qingyuan's tone was not tough enough and scolded unhappily. This time, Night Sorrow has already stabilized the situation, but you're still wishy-washy. If you continue to be like this in the future, you don't need to be a disciplinary elder anymore. Remember, a disciplinary elder must be ruthless. You must not show mercy to anyone, especially when the sect is provoked. Even if you have to risk your life, you must return the favor. Yes, Grand Elder Zhuang. Qingyuan will remember your teachings. After being scolded, Lu Qingyuan's body suddenly trembled. He was the most easygoing disciplinary elder in the history of Tianyan School. Usually he didn't have much time to be uptight. Now that he was scolded, he felt like he had been hit in the head. His face darkened and he looked at Yan Fengling. Yan Fengling, if we lose the bet this time, you should know what awaits Mei Ruoshua. Now that you've lost, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Although bullying a woman like you isn't my, Lu Qingyuan's style. But from the standpoint of the sect, your Heavenly Martial Pavilion has gone too far in bullying my Tianyan school. Come with me. Lu Qingyuan, if you're still a man, let me go. Standing on the deck of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, Yan Fengling's face was extremely ugly, and her body was slightly trembling. Now, she was very regretful that she had supported Yan Jifei in this gambling fight. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. She had no way to turn back. I will let you go. However, there are some things that must be done. Hearing Yanfangling's words, Lu Qingyuan coldly snorted and reached out to grab Yanfangling's arm. Pulling her into his embrace, he walked into the inner cabin of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. Although Yanfangling used to be very strong, she had taken Night Sorrow's samsara strike head-on. She was seriously injured and had no strength to resist. Aunt Yan Jifei, who had already returned to the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, shouted when he saw Yanfangling being carried away. He was about to explode. If you hadn't lost, she wouldn't have to suffer such consequences. Yan Jifei, this is the cause you planted. He would personally take revenge in the future. Do you remember? The face of Meng Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, was uglier than anyone else. He coldly scolded Yan Jifei. Jifei, remember this. From now on, you must cultivate well and fiercely slap Tianyun School's face. Fight for today's anger. Yan Jifei's body was still trembling. He was not reconciled. Extremely not reconciled. He had lost the bet to his aunt. This would be the shadow of his life. I think it's time for you to hand over the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. After Lu Qingyuan carried Yanfangling into the inner cabin, Night Sorrow immediately stood at the bow of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle and asked for the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. This was the bet that they had won. There was no reason for them to not take it. I can give you the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. However, do you dare to make another bet with me? After being asked for the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, Meng Yi handed it over to Meng Du, who was ranked 4th on the divine list. Meng Du, who was holding the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, stood on the flying divine tool of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion and looked at Night Sorrow provocatively. Hee, you are ranked 4th on the divine list. Do you think you are very domineering to challenge a feather god? In the face of Meng Du's provocation, Night Sorrow replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Just tell me if you dare or not. Don't tell me you don't need it. Tell me if you have the guts or not. Meng Du held the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear in his hand and released a terrifying battle intent. He was ranked 4th on the divine list. Currently, his strength was indeed slightly stronger than Night Sorrow's. That's right. If you don't have the guts, you can reject it. Or you can ask the other great gods to come out and fight. The other disciples of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion who were standing behind Meng Du also joined in the commotion. Ever since I started cultivating, no one has dared to say that I, Night Sorrow, have no guts. Meng Du, right? Hand over my Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, and I will give you an explanation. Night Sorrow, who was standing on the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, also released a strong battle intent. Night Sorrow? So he is Night Sorrow, who is ranked on the divine list. No wonder he is so strong. When the disciples of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion heard Night Sorrow's name, they immediately started discussing among themselves. Before this, Lu Qingyuan had called out Night Sorrow's name softly, but they did not pay attention to it. As for Night Sorrow, he had come here to fight for the reputation of the Tianyun School. In the face of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion's provocation, if he did not step out, the reputation of the Tianyun School would be completely lost before the competition. Then his trip would be completely meaningless. Night Sorrow? You are Night Sorrow? I will give you the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. I, Meng Du, want to see how you will respond. Meng Du gathered his divine origin energy and threw the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear at Night Sorrow. This was obviously a provocation. Everyone in the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had heard of Night Sorrow's name and knew that he was the only feather god who was ranked on the divine list. After the feather god group's competition, I will continue to participate in the high gods group. At that time, we will definitely fight. Facing the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear that Meng Du threw, Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's Eye to see the path of the spear, and the Divine Origin Energy Dragon Lock Array to slow it down. Finally, he used his Divine Origin Energy and the strength of his body to catch the spear. From the beginning to the end, his body was as steady as a rock and did not sway in the slightest. Aha! You are really arrogant. You are still a feather god, and you dare to say that you will participate in the High Gods Group's competition? Alright, I will wait for you in the High Gods Group. You better pray that I don't meet you in the competition. Otherwise, your divine soul will be destroyed. Take good care of the heavenly martial soul battle spear. I will personally take it back. When he heard that Night Sorrow wanted to participate in the High Gods Group's competition, Mengdu laughed arrogantly. To him, no matter how strong a feather god was, they would not be a threat to him. Let's just wait and see. However, since you want to kill me, if the Heavenly Martial Pavilion does not withdraw from the Feather God Group's competition, I will kill all of you. Threatening me? You are threatening the wrong person. Night Sorrow, who had caught the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, replied domineeringly. Night Sorrow was the virtuous feather god, but he was not a hypocrite. When someone provoked him, he would not hesitate to retaliate. What should we do? The feather gods of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion immediately panicked when they heard Yi Shang's threat to start a massacre during the competition. Mengdu, who had threatened Night Sorrow, had an ugly expression on his face. Although he was strong, he was a high god and did not have the qualifications to participate in the Feather God Group's competition. What are you panicking for? I have my ways. Meng Yi berated when he saw that the Heavenly Martial Pavilion's feather gods were frightened by Night Sorrow's aura. Chapter 2574. Haha. Senior brother Night Sorrow is so powerful. One sentence from him is enough to make the Sky Martial Pavilion's feather god restless. Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the feather god list, shouted when he saw that Night Sorrow's words had shocked the Sky Martial Pavilion. As the strongest person in the Tianyun School's feather god list, he had suffered too much humiliation. Now that Night Sorrow had appeared, he felt as though the clouds had parted and the moon had seen the light. I didn't know you were so strong. Looks like I was lucky to win that day. Yanzheng looked a little embarrassed. He remembered that Night Sorrow had been on Sikong Hanshin's side that day, but he hadn't humiliated Sikong Hanshin. Now that the Sky Martial Pavilion had provoked him, Sikong Hanshin had stood up for him. It seems that we've made the right choice to join the Tianyun clan at this point in time. I think that the future Tianyun school won't be as cowardly as before. Mei Ruoxue smiled as she looked at Yi Shang's back from a short distance away. Yin Tingfei, who was ranked 30th on the Feather God list, said, "This is indeed the best time for the Tianyun school. I'm ranked 30th on the Feather God list, but I can't even make it into the sex lineup. I hope that everyone can help me wash away the humiliation from the last competition. With Night Sorrow leading the team, we will definitely be the best in the Feather God group," Si Kongxiang said as he patted Yin Tingfei's shoulder. The Feather Gods were in a good mood. Their previous nervousness had been swept away. The high celestial disciples of the Tianyun school were also in a good mood. In their opinion, it was almost certain that the Tianyun clan would win the championship of the God of Feathers division this time. This way, no matter how the high celestial group performed, they wouldn't be as humiliated as before. Furthermore, Night Sorrow had said that he would continue to participate in the high celestial group after the Feather God group. This way, the strength of the Tianyun school's high celestial group would definitely increase, and they would be able to get rid of the embarrassment of being last place. Feather God Realm Ant, you don't deserve my Tianwu Soul Battle Spear. Just as everyone was talking and laughing, the weapon spirit of the Tianwu Battle Soul Spear suddenly tried to break free from Night Sorrow's hands. The Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear was, after all, a king-grade divine artifact. Its power was extremely terrifying. Very quickly, Night Sorrow felt that it was about to slip out of his hands. Haha, so what if I give you a king-grade divine artifact? You don't even have the ability to control them. Mengdu, who was standing in the distance, immediately mocked when he saw the Heavenly Martial Soul Spear breaking free from Night Sorrow's grasp. Among the people of the Sky Martial Pavilion, he was one of the few who was not afraid of Night Sorrow. As for the others, he did not care at all. Your face really doesn't hurt enough. In the face of Mengdu's provocation, Night Sorrow replied coldly. He turned to the Heavenly Martial Soul War Spear and said, "A mere weapon spirit dares to speak such arrogant words. Do you really think that I, Night Sorrow, would be interested in your heavenly martial soul war spear? In my eyes, you are just a pile of materials. After speaking, he directly merged the heavenly martial soul war spear into the samsara halberd. You want to destroy me? Impossible. This is impossible. You want to use a high god grade divine artifact to devour my king grade divine artifact? Dream on. After being merged into the samsara halberd, the weapon spirit of the heavenly martial soul war spear immediately roared. Nothing in this world is impossible. Although you are a king grade divine artifact, you are just a pile of materials now. How much can you do? Night Sorrow controlled the samsara halberd to resist the arrogance of the heavenly martial soul war spear, and gradually suppressed it. The samsara halberd was the same as Night Sorrow. Its grade was not very high, but its strength was definitely not at the high god grade. After all, it mainly had the samsara attribute, and had merged with a lord grade divine spear and the inferno demon spear. No. Don't destroy my will. I am willing to serve you. After being suppressed by the combination of the samsara attribute and Night Sorrow, the weapon spirit of the heavenly martial soul war spear quickly begged for mercy. You asked for it. There is no turning back. Faced with the heavenly martial soul war spear's begging, Night Sorrow did not stop. He continued to merge with the weapon. Tribulation clouds. Tribulation clouds are coming. After the samsara halberd had completely devoured the heavenly martial soul war spear, and upgraded to the lord grade, thick black clouds immediately floated in the sky. Seeing the tribulation clouds, Si Kongxiang cried out worriedly. He was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Lord grade lightning tribulation. Let's see how a feather god like you can survive it. Seeing that Night Sorrow had merged with the heavenly martial soul war spear, Meng Yi of the Sky Martial Pavilion was so angry that he almost fainted. Now that the samsara halberd had upgraded to a lord grade divine artifact and attracted the tribulation clouds, he immediately cursed. Elders, please protect Night Sorrow from the divine artifact tribulation. Don't let him be disturbed by others. Seeing the tribulation clouds coming, Meiruoshua immediately begged the 10 deacon elders to protect Night Sorrow. Xiao Shui, you don't have to remind me. The half-step divine king blocked the deacon elder Mei Ling. He snorted and started to protect Night Sorrow with the other 9 deacon elders. You are making a mountain out of a molehill. He is just a feather god. There is no way he can survive the tribulation lightning of a lord grade divine artifact. Why should the Sky Martial Pavilion do anything? Meng Yi of the Sky Martial Pavilion said disdainfully when he saw the deacon elders of the Tianyuan school acting as if they were facing a great enemy. In his opinion, no matter how strong a feather god was, it was impossible for him to survive the lord grade divine artifact tribulation. Boom. At that moment, the terrifying tribulation lightning struck down. The tribulation lightning was so terrifying that some of the deacon elders felt their hearts tremble. However, in the face of the tribulation lightning, Night Sorrow chose to take it head-on with his body. His choice made the people of the Tianyuan school feel conflicted. They were afraid that he would be struck to death. Everyone from the Sky Martial Pavilion had gloating expressions on their faces. They felt that Yi Shang was simply courting death. What a long-awaited feeling. After taking the tribulation lightning head-on with his body, Night Sorrow felt extremely calm. He was not disturbed at all. Taking the tribulation lightning head-on was a way for him to train his body. It doesn't seem to have any effect. It seems that my body has already reached the peak of the feather god grade. There is no need to train it anymore. In that case, let's hurry up and help the samsara halberd overcome the tribulation. In the face of this tribulation lightning, Night Sorrow quickly realized that his body's strength did not change at all even after being baptized by the tribulation lightning. Then he started to help the samsara halberd overcome the tribulation lightning with ease. Soon he succeeded in overcoming the 10th tribulation lightning. After overcoming the tribulation lightning, the samsara halberd let out a loud and clear cry. Although it was a divine weapon, its strength was comparable to some king-grade artifacts. Elder Meng Yi, we can't let Night Sorrow live. With him around, the Tianyuan school might be able to suppress the Sky Martial Pavilion in the future. This suppression might last for many reincarnations. Seeing that Night Sorrow had successfully helped the samsara halberd overcome the tribulation lightning, and become a divine weapon. One of the elders of the Sky Martial Pavilion sent a voice transmission to Meng Yi. If we let him grow, he will definitely be a nightmare for the Sky Martial Pavilion. I am already thinking of a countermeasure. Meng Yi's expression was uglier than anyone else's. However, what made Meng Yi and the others even more devastated was that Lu Qingyuan walked out of the inner cabin with a proud smile on his face. Elder Lu, aren't you a little too fast? Si Kongxiang joked when he saw Lu Qingyuan walk out of the inner cabin. What do you know? I have already been in the accelerated space for a month. How can an ignorant brat like you understand how it feels? Chapter 2575. Damn it. Tianyan School, my heavenly martial pavilion will be your arch-enemy from now on. Meng Yi, who was originally interested in Yanfangling, understood that Lu Qingyuan had already cooked the rice. He flew into a rage and retreated with his team. This time, the heavenly martial pavilion had really suffered a double loss. They had lost miserably. The moment your heavenly martial pavilion came to my Tianyan School, we were already arch-enemies. This time, facing Meng Yi, Lu Qingyuan was much tougher than before and immediately retorted. Good. The Tianyan clan should be tough when dealing with things, just like how you dealt with that girl. The divine King Zhuangqing praised with a smile in his space artifact. Elder Zhuang, I shielded my space artifact at that time. You didn't see anything, did you? Hearing Zhuangqing's ridicule, Lu Qingyuan asked doubtfully. At that time, he definitely shielded his space artifact and felt that it was impossible for anyone to spy on his privacy. Let's not talk about this. On the way to Tianqing Gate, everyone must be on guard. Watching the people of Heavenly Martial Pavilion leave, the divine King Zhuangqing reminded them. They mainly needed to be on guard against Soaring Heaven Sect and Ho Jun's people. Yes, Qingyuan will definitely be on guard. At this time, Lu Qingyuan's face returned to normal, and he began to control the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle at full speed. What surprised everyone was that when they arrived at Tianqing Gate, where the Seven Sect Great Competition was held, Soaring Heaven Sect and Ho Jun's people did not appear. Could it be that we are overthinking? They didn't join forces to target us? When they arrived at Tianqing Gate, Lu Qingyuan sent a message to the divine King Zhuangqing. Not necessarily. I think it is more likely that they will act after the Seven Sect Great Competition. Because if they act before the Great Competition, it will affect the normal progress of the Great Competition. That will involve a lot of people. The divine King Zhuangqing reminded in his space artifact. Although we have arrived at Tianqing Gate, there is still some time before the Great Competition. After staying here, all the disciples of Tianyan School are not allowed to go out at will to avoid being targeted by some people. Yes, Elder Zhuang. Lu Qingyuan responded and lowered the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. He let everyone disembark and walk down the stairs to walk on the steps to walk to the front. Tianqing Gate's gate. Please inform them that the Tianyan clan is here to participate in the 7-Clan Grand Tournament. Lu Qingyuan took out his identity jade token and walked towards the two disciples guarding the mountain gate of the Heavenly Clarity Sect. Elder, please wait a moment. One of the disciples at the Divine Feather Realm took the jade token and confirmed it before using a voice transmission stone to report the matter. Not long after, Lin Yu, the elder in charge of receiving guests from the Clear Sky Gate, came out to receive them. He was very polite along the way. However, although Elder Zhuangqing was polite on the way, he was not kind when it came to arranging accommodations. He only arranged a courtyard for Tianyan School. This was only equivalent to the treatment of an outer sect disciple. It did not meet the standards of the 7-Sect Great Competition at all. It was definitely a slap in the face. Lin Yu, what is the meaning of this? Standing in front of the courtyard, Lu Qingyuan immediately flew into a rage. What do I mean? What I mean is that you, Tianyan School, are here to be bystanders anyway. It doesn't matter where you stay. If you are not satisfied, you can choose to withdraw from the great competition. You are in last place in the Zhuangqing group and the deity group anyway. Withdrawing has no effect on the great competition. Lin Yu looked at the furious Lu Qingyuan with an indifferent expression. Good. Very good. Lin Yu, Remember what you said today. I, Tianyan School, will definitely slap your dog face until it is swollen during the great competition. Lu Qingyuan, who was provoked, had a vicious look on his face. He was too angry. The 7-sect great competition was held in rotation. It was held in a different sect each time. However, no matter where it was held, the host would always arrange a separate mountain peak for the other sections. Tianqing Gate actually arranged an outer sect disciples' courtyard for Tianyan School. This deliberate targeting was a little too much. Haha, you want to slap Tianqing Gate's face? You'd better think about how to let your disciples survive in the hands of Wu Yu. Tianqing Gate will never forget the grudge of Mu Baiyu killing Lin Tianxi back then. Tianqing Gate's elder Lin Yu left a harsh sentence and left with a flick of his sleeves. As for whether Tianyan School lived in an outer sect disciples' courtyard or not, he did not care at all. Come, let's move in. Lu Qingyuan did not give the order, but Night Sorrow spoke up. Are we really going to live in such a simple and crude courtyard? Aren't we just waiting to be laughed at by the other sects? As soon as Yishang spoke, Lu Qingyuan immediately responded with a question. It doesn't matter where we live. As long as we can slap their faces like senior brother Mu Baiyu when the great competition comes. Night Sorrow explained and continued. The Feather God Group's competition and the High God Group's competition mainly rely on the strongest combat power. However, teamwork is equally important. Let's take advantage of the fact that the great competition hasn't started yet, and practice a team battle technique. A team battle technique? That's an array formation? Si Kongxiang asked in surprise. It's not an array formation, but it has a similar effect. If the participants of the great competition can practice a team battle technique well, their combat power will definitely increase by a lot. Night Sorrow said and set up an isolation array formation outside the courtyard. He taught the 9 Domain Worlds team battle technique to the Tianyan School team. In the following time, the Tianyan School team began to seriously practice the team battle technique, according to Night Sorrow's guidance. The few people in the Feather God group were all ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. They were very talented and had a strong comprehension ability. It took them about a month to completely master the 3-person, 4-person, and 5-person battle techniques. As for the few people in the High God group, their talent was slightly worse, especially Nalanda, who was relatively stupid. He only mastered the 3-person and 4-person battle techniques. However, after Night Sorrow joined the High God group, everyone quickly became proficient in the 5-person battle technique. After completely mastering the team battle technique, Meiruwashua said with a smile, I think our Feather God group is very likely to create a record in the great competition of the 7 sects. Night Sorrow will definitely lead us to great results. I think so too. With this group battle method, we'll definitely be successful in every endeavor. Ho Qingshan expressed his deep agreement to this. This time he was much more confident than he was in the previous great competition. However, what surprised everyone was that before the great competition of the 7 sects, Lu Qingyuan had brought news that the great competition of the 7 sects had been confirmed as a single elimination tournament. The High God group's competition would be the same as before. Why did the rules suddenly change in this great competition? Could it be that the people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion leaked Night Sorrow's strength? Are the other sects afraid that our Tianyan school will take the top 5 because of Night Sorrow? After hearing this news, Si Kongxiang was a little unhappy. He could have relied on Night Sorrow to achieve good results, but now he could only rely on himself. No matter what, our Tianyan school must show off in this great competition of the 7 sects. You are all ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. There is no reason why you can't achieve good results. Seeing that the Tianyan school's Feather God group was a little depressed, Lu Qingyuan encouraged them. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.